Tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News, this dancehall artist Vibes Cartel and his former co-defendants freed.
President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva MacDonald, delivered the ruling this afternoon, setting the men.
Judgments and verdicts of acquittal are entered in relation to the appellants.
And one of Cartel's former lawyers, KC Tom Tavares Finson, says the outcome of the Cartel case further supports the arguments for the country to retain the Privy Council as Jamaica's final appellate court.
The fair treatment of this kind of high-profile matter by the Privy Council is another reason why many Jamaicans, including myself, continue to support the retention of the Privy Council.
Members of the entertainment fraternity welcomed the news that Vibes Cartel and his co-accused are now free men.
And residents of Gaza City and Waterford, Portmore, St. Catherine say today, July 31, is now their Emancipation Day.
In news from the rest of the world, Maduro promises voting data as observers say Venezuela election not democratic.
Iran vows to avenge the assassination of Hamas political leader Haniyeh.
And in headline sports, JFF named former England boss Stephen McLaren as the new coach of the Reggae Boys.
And later on our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Cartel freed. The Court of Appeal has ruled that Vibes Cartel and his 3 co-defendants will not face a retrial for the 2014 murder for the 2014 murder trial of Clive Williams. We'll get reactions from defense attorneys Bert Samuels and John Clark.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, what is your reaction to the Cartel ruling? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
And at 8 this evening, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyating's Weathers. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, jm.com, and on the Nationwide app available in Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, July 31, 2024.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. There were scenes of jubilation and excitement outside the Court of Appeal this afternoon as news spread that dancehall star Vibes Cartel had been freed. The judgment was announced to a packed courtroom shortly after 2 by President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop. Amid a heavy security presence, chants of freedom rang out on King Street. Dana Davey reports.
The declaration of the Court of Appeal was unmistakable. Freedom had come for Adidja Palmer. Newly installed President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, delivered the news.
Having regard to all the considerations the court has taken into account, we conclude that the interests of justice do not require a new trial to be ordered for the appellants, and we therefore make the following order. Judgments and verdicts of acquittal are entered in relation to the appellants.
The decision was unanimous, with Justices Paulette Williams and David Fraser agreeing. Sean Campbell, Andre St. John, and Kahira Jones were also acquitted of the 2011 murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Jones may not immediately be released as he's facing another matter in court. The acquittals for Williams's murder come a decade after they were first convicted of the brutal murder. The breakthrough finally came in March this year when the UK-based Privy Council determined that they had been denied a fair trial and overturned their convictions. The London-based court ordered the local Court of Appeal to determine whether they should be freed or again stand trial for the crime. On Wednesday, on the eve of Emancipation Day, the Court of Appeal determined that a retrial would not be in the interest of justice. For Cartel's lead attorney, Isat Buchanan, the Constitution had prevailed. He says it's been a long walk to freedom for the men.
We certainly hope that as we are saying this to you, that the process is being expedited and we just await their release. This is their independence, there's emancipation, July 31st for them, and so it should be that. And so I am sure you've heard the posture of the court that the wheel is in motion.
Attorney John Clark says no other Jamaican should suffer the ordeal Cartel, Campbell, St. John and Jones faced.
I don't think that if you ask any of the appellants that they will say that they got justice, because from day one they profess their innocence, and at the end of the day you have, after almost 13 years, they're just going home without the merits of the case actually being decided. So for the appellants, it is regrettable that this is how this matter has to end, and we hope that this will be a lesson for everybody who loves justice in Jamaica, because there are certain things that went wrong in this case, and we hope that the persons who have the power to change things in this country will examine to ensure that no other Jamaican citizen have to spend 13 years in custody.
All eyes are now on the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility in downtown Kingston, where the self-styled world boss is expected to step confidently into the sunlight of freedom. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop outlined a litany of reasons why a retrial would not be in the interest of justice.
These factors are the insufficient and inadequate account by the prosecution for the availability of its witnesses and trial exhibits. Witnesses and trial exhibits relied upon by the appellants, which tended to support their defense at their first trial, are now unavailable or cannot be accounted for. 3. The appellant's trial in the Supreme Court was complex, lasting 64 days, and utilized a significant share of the court and the appellant's resources. Therefore, the time, financial costs, expense, and impact on the court's resources, as well as other cases in the queue awaiting trial, we find that this is significant and it militates against a new trial.
She also made note of the declining health of Vybz Cartel.
4. The psychological, financial, and medical effect that a new trial would likely have on the appellants who have already spent 13 years in custody. We look at the medical problems relating to the appellant Palmer, which came through medical reports that stand unchallenged by the Crown and therefore speak to declining health in the penal institution. The court looks at the lapse of time between the commission of the alleged offense and the likely time in which a new trial would take place. 6. The unjustifiable interference with the appellant's constitutional rights to a fair hearing within a reasonable time and the potential for that breach or interference, we should say, continuing if a new trial is ordered.
Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, President of the Court of Appeal.
And prison officials are undertaking the necessary processing to release Cartel. Defense attorneys have gone before a judge to have the necessary documents verified for the release of the men. The Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility is refusing to release the men without proper documentation. One of the defense attorneys told our news center the documents are expected to be verified shortly.
In the meantime, one of the attorneys who formerly represented Cartel during his initial trial, King's Counsel Tom Tavares Finson, has welcomed the ruling of the Court of Appeal. He voiced his opinion solely in his capacity as a former defense attorney.
Speaking solely in our capacity as former defense attorneys, when the Adidja Palmer et al. Matter came up for trial in the first instance, the team, including myself, Christian Tavares Finson, Pierre Rogers, Tamika Harris, Michael Lawn, and Everton Dua, welcome the judgment handed down this afternoon in the Court of Appeal by the recently appointed President of the Court of Appeal. Certainly, as lead defense attorney at the trial, I believe that the judgment is in the interest of justice and lends credibility to the various objections which were raised by the defense team at the initial trial.
The King's Counsel says the outcome of the Cartel case further supports the arguments for the country to retain the Privy Council as Jamaica's final appellate court.
Let us not forget that the Privy Council had initially quashed Cartel's conviction. I think the fair treatment of this kind of high-profile matter by the Privy Council is another reason why many Jamaicans, including myself, continue to support the retention of the Privy Council as the country's final court of appeal, or as it's referred to nowadays, the apex court.
King's Counsel Tom Tavares Finson. He was speaking on Tuesday.
And members of the entertainment fraternity have welcomed the news that Vybz Cartel and his co-defendants are now free men. Shalois Michael has that story.
Several dancehall artists are celebrating as the self-styled world boss makes his walk back to freedom. Dancehall artist Bugle says he was elated when he heard the news.
Now one of them artists that have been a vouch for Cartel free regardless of what. Just like I'm event for any other artist. So, always I say free Cartel. It's just this morning me in a rehearsal and I said, freedom Vybz Cartel. So me feel good, me feel elated. Me just feel good within myself and know that Vybz Cartel is actually a freed man today. And I just work,
Dancehall Queen Carleen says justice has been served.
Well, I think justice has been served and long awaiting. I'm happy. It's dancehall to the world.
And the swaggerific boss, Mr. G, says he hopes the men will make good use of their second chance.
I figured more or less it would have gotten thrown out. And today I heard on the news that was the case. So, he has a second chance on life, he and Sean and the rest of them. So let's just hope everybody do the right thing and, I say keep out of trouble and just try live as best as possible with them family and them friends and just know say God give a second chance on earth.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
And Professor of Culture, Gender and Society at the University of the West Indies, Donna Hope, says the appeal court's freeing of Vybz Cartel will have significant impact on the music fraternity.
It means that there's going to be a lot of jubilation in the cultural space. It also means that in the musical space that there will be a lot of songs that are going to be coming out in support of ghetto youth, in support of, men who feel that they have been unjustly incarcerated, because what has happened is that in this instance, the justice system has had to respond to what is a situation that cannot be moved in any other direction. I listened very carefully to Justice Bishop MacDonald, and the summation that she made. Once she said the word however, I knew everything else after would lead to an acquittal. So she set it up very carefully to show that the system is aware of the egregious nature of the crime and all the things that are associated with it, and then the however came.
She adds that the timing of the ruling is also significant, which is on the eve of Jamaica's celebration of Emancipation Day.
This is August morning in a lot of ways. We are going into the emancipation celebration and then followed by the independence celebration. This is going to be seen as a very prescient moment by many persons, myself included, that this verdict is handed down today when a lot of us are going to be doing August morning celebration. To ring in August 1, which is a celebration of our emancipation from the horrors of slavery, looking forward to August 6, which is a celebration of our independence from the colonial strictures. A lot of parallels are going to be drawn. I can see some of the academic articles that are going to come out about popular culture, the music, Vybz Cartel, and the way that this all came together and converged on August 31, 2024. A lot of meanings and hidden meanings are going to be shown coming out of this.
Donna Hope, Professor of Culture, Gender and Society at the University of the West Indies.
Meanwhile, the defense attorney and Nationwide host, Saeed Bernard, says the Court of Appeal's decision to free Vybz Cartel and his co-defendants is a big win for justice.
It's a big win, actually, for justice. It's a big win for fair trial. And this, I think, reinforces the right that every single Jamaican citizen has before an impartial tribunal. And there are a lot of persons who are in prison who, when you look on their case, you wonder how they were convicted. And so this certainly should lead to some policy review, policy reform, and certainly has already been agreed, review and amendment of the Jury Act. Because the part of the constraint that the judge, as he then had, was that if he had struck that juror, he'd have to start over the trial. And so there should be lessons from this that all parties must learn. But the winner in this is justice, is the fact that every single Jamaican understands that the pendulum swings. Justice is blind. It must be fair and impartial.
Defense Attorney Saeed Bernard. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
15 minutes after 5.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is...
It's 34 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay.
Dear residents, we understand that some of you are currently facing great inconvenience being without electricity. Due to the damage affecting your supply, the process to restore power will take some time. Rest assured, however, that we are doing our very best to ensure everyone is reconnected as quickly and as safely as possible. We kindly ask for your continued patience and understanding during this challenging time. JPS, committed to getting your service back as soon as possible.
Continuing the news. In the meantime, residents of Waterford in Portmore, St. Catherine, say today, July 31, is now their Emancipation Day. Jubilation erupted in a section of the community referred to as Gaza City, where Vybz Cartel grew up after the Court of Appeal freed the artiste and his friends. At least one resident says he expected nothing less than an acquittal.
Free Vybz Cartel. Cartel come out today. You can't go other way. Any other way are the wrong way. Any other way are the wrong way. Not the next way. Any other way are the wrong way.
Another resident, Alia, says the news of the artist's freedom is a belated birthday gift.
Best birthday gift ever. This was my birthday. Best birthday gift. Fuel boss, I feel like I cry.
Amidst the jubilation was a high police and military presence, but the residents were not deterred. Residents in Waterford, Portmore, St. Catherine.
And in other news now, the Office of Utilities Regulation, the OUR, will issue a directive to the Jamaica Public Service Company, the JPS, for it to comply with a timeline given for the restoration of electricity in affected communities. Director General of the OUR, Ansord Hewitt, made the disclosure at Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister. He says JPS had indicated to the regulatory body that full restoration to affected communities would be completed by August 12.
We have conveyed to JPS in all our engagements that we expect that it will exercise all diligence to expedite restoration. In our last meeting with JPS on Monday, July 29, they assured us that all service will be restored by the 12th of August, even in the most critically damaged areas, including Westmoreland, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth, Eastern Hanover, and in Western Hanover, for which it claims a peculiarity, by August 15. I received a report this morning, however, that Western Hanover is also scheduled to be back by August 12.
Several communities across the island remain without power 4 weeks after the passage of Hurricane Beryl on July 3. Mr. Hewitt says up to Monday the number of customers without power was 21,514. He noted that a directive became necessary as JPS missed previously established restoration dates.
The OUR is aware that these dates and numbers are very small comfort to customers who have been without service since July 3, and so we have urged the company to take every possible step, including the engagement of additional resources to shorten these timelines. Given that the company has missed previously established restoration dates, the OUR will be issuing a directive for it to comply with the timelines it has given. If they are missed, the JPS will be required to show that it took all reasonable steps within its means to have secured compliance.
Ansord Hewitt, Director General of the OUR.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, has insisted his party is ready to present all the vote tallies from his country's disputed election. Election observers say the poll results could not be considered democratic. The National Electoral Council, CNE's declaration that Mr. Maduro won the polls has sparked 2 days of protests in Venezuela. The country's main opposition maintains that its voting tallies show its candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, won by a wide margin. According to BBC News, NGOs in Venezuela say there's been at least 11 deaths in protest-related violence and a dozen more injured. Speaking to journalists on Wednesday, Mr. Maduro defended his government's decision not to publish the electoral results. He said there was a hack on the Electoral Council website. He also claimed he had proof that the opposition leader, Marina Corina Machado, was behind the violence now taking place in the country. Mr. Maduro alleged that protesters were attacking the Constitution and asked the Supreme Court to take action.
And Hamas is vowing to avenge the killing of its political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, who died in an overnight airstrike in Tehran. The killing, hours after an Israeli strike in the Lebanese capital of Beirut, has heightened fears of a wider conflict in the Middle East. According to the BBC, Iran has threatened harsh punishment for Israel, which it says was responsible for Wednesday's assassination. Israel has not commented directly on the strike, but in a televised statement, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country is prepared for any scenario and stands determined against any threat.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. Prison officials are now undertaking the necessary processing of documents to release dancehall artist Vybz Cartel and his former co-defendants.
This after they were freed by the Court of Appeal earlier this afternoon.
Judgments and verdicts of acquittal are entered in relation to the appellants.
King's Counsel Tom Tavares Vinson says the outcome of the Cartel case further supports the arguments for Jamaica to retain the Privy Council as our final appellate court.
And residents of Gaza City in Waterford, Portmore, St. Catharines say today, July 31, is now their Emancipation Day.
The OUR says it is to issue a directive to JPS for it to comply with a timeline given for the restoration of electricity in affected communities. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Focused on you, hey, family, friends, passion, joy. We're focused on you. Focus on life, focus on love, focus on health, and all the above. Imperial Optical is focused on you. So focused. Hey, Imperial Optical Jamaica, focused on you. From Taurus Riley. Together we're all people standing strong. 3 million Jamaicans, let's work as one. Such a course and work with a plan. Proud and tall, let's make the whole world understand. Every Jamaican of the heart of a champion. Such a core, big up with champions. Watch my style, watch my skill, watch my flow. Standing out anywhere where we go. Many goals, many dreams, many strides. All the black, green and gold, and we pride. Proud and tall, let's make strong. We are strong. When we are one. When we are one. Sagicor, celebrating Jamaican success.
Good afternoon, with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We kick things off with some football as the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, has appointed Stephen McLaren as the new head coach of the national senior men's football team. The former England boss has been given a 2-year contract aimed at guiding the Reggae Boys towards the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Ricketts says they're confident they made the right decision.
It's common knowledge that we did a number of interviews, and from get-go we had probably 40 applicants. We came down to a short list of 5, and he came out on top of those 5 in terms of what came out of the interview. The questions were common amongst all the applicants, and he came out head and shoulders above everybody else. So he was selected, and he has accepted, and we are now ready to go.
Ricketts says McLaren is excited to take charge of the Reggae Boys.
Absolutely. Very excited and raring to go. Well, we have not yet finalized the start date, but it certainly will be very soon, maybe another week or so.
Michael Ricketts. Now, Jamaica's gold medal prospect at the Paris Olympics have been dealt a severe blow after Serika Jackson admitted she'll not run in the 100 meters. Nationwide's Wayne Walker is in Paris and filed this report.
The 200 meters world champion, speaking at a media day put on by her shoe sponsor Puma, said the injury she suffered on July 9 in Hungary played a role in the decision. Jackson pulled up near the finish in the women's 200 meters at the Iswan July meeting, and she has not raced since. Friday's start of the 100 meters appeared to have come too quickly for her, and she says she is happy with the decision to give up the lane.
The decision is just to protect my body. As I said, for the last 3 years I've been competing in both events, and I think it's a combination of both, just focusing on one event and what happened around it. So it's a combination of both. I'm always at peace, you know. As I said, you have to make decisions that are best for your body and your mind and your soul. And I think I'm okay with the decision coach and I made.
Jackson will now report to the start for the 200 meters with 3 extra days rest and fresher than had she ran the 100 meters as she chases her first individual Olympic gold.
It will mean a lot. As I said, I don't have an Olympic gold medal, individual medal, let me be clear. So I think it would be definitely good. Just to have fun, you know, it's always the same. You know, whether it's an Olympic or a World Championship where you always want to keep your goal the same. So it's just to stay focused and have fun while doing it.
She's also warned not to expect any attempt at breaking the world record this year.
With all honesty, I don't think there's a world record coming, but I don't think there's a world record coming. Let me put it on the table. So there won't be any world record coming, but definitely to compete at my best.
Meanwhile, national champion Kishane Thompson came through an impressive training session this morning that pleased his coach Stephen Francis.
Well, I'm always excited when I see the athletes who I coach do well from the blocks, because it's a crucial part of the races, and so it's very satisfying.
In addressing whether Thompson will be able to deal with the mind games of rival Noah Lyles, Francis said this.
You'll find that he plays mind games with those people who is faster than. So I don't think he will have that much opportunity this time around, but we'll see if his mind games works on people who have demonstrated that they are a lot faster than he is.
From the French capital Paris, site of the 2024 Olympic Games, Wayne Walker for Nationwide 90 FM, the exclusive radio broadcasters of the Games in Jamaica.
It's time for Olympic Corner. A look at the big happenings at the Paris 2024 Olympics.
At one point, Jessica Fox could have been forgiven for thinking she would never win Olympic gold. But the Australian canoeist has now won her past 3 Olympic finals, rewriting Games history, and will bid for an unprecedented treble at the Paris 2024 later this week. Fox was born in France and has lit up the canoe slalom on her return proving a class above her rivals. On Wednesday, she retained her canoe singles title in style, storming down the course to claim victory by 2.48 seconds, despite incurring 2 penalties seconds for making contact with a gate. The game just 3 days after the kayak singles triumph, which ended a long organizing wait for gold in that event.
That was Olympic Corner. A look at the big happenings at the Paris 2024 Olympics.
That was our Olympic Corner. I'm Alex Raby, and that's your sport.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off the summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Together we're all people standing strong. 3 million Jamaicans, let's work as one. Such a course and work with a plan. Proud and tall, let's make the whole world understand. Every Jamaican have the heart of a champion. Such a core, big up with champions. Watch my style, watch my skill, watch my flow. Standing out anywhere where we go. Many goals, many dreams, many strides. On the black, green and gold, and we pride. Proud and tall, let's make the whole world understand. We are strong when we are one, Sagicor, celebrating Jamaican success.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance. Just in case your bank crash dead, no need to put your hands by your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it, or throw a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposit we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and billing society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off the summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dusk,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Bulletins After Dark with Kareem Bulletins each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Bulletins After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Bulletins After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The chants of Vibes Cartel supporters outside the Court of Appeal on King Street in downtown Kingston early this afternoon as they got news that their world boss, Vibes Cartel, and his 3 co-defendants had been freed. We are going to go now to the Tar Street Adult Correctional Center where we gather that the documentation has been processed and Vibes Cartel is now leaving the institution as a free man. Ricardo Brooks is there. Good afternoon, Ricardo.
Good afternoon, Sir Cliff. Good afternoon to the listeners. And Siobhan with you. Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ricardo.
Yes, tell us what's happening there.
Well, Mr. Palmer has left the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility. He drove away in a white limousine. 2 of them came to receive him.
Limousine?
Yes. He was greeted by family members. He was able to hug them. As you can imagine, the crowds were chanting. I did send in a video. I'm not sure if it has arrived yet, but as you can imagine, heavy security present, the police trying to keep the media at bay and to keep crowd control. But he was dressed in full white. He had an orange bandana around his face. He walked out with some kind of a painting. And the moment he stepped through the exit gates, the chants of World Boss Adija, Free the Boss, rang out.
What of the other 3 co-defendants?
Well, we saw 2 of them. As we reported earlier, Jones may not be with them. It was hard to tell because the men were all wearing the orange bandanas. Jones may not be with them, though, because we understand he's facing another matter in court, so he may not be with them. But we counted at least 3 of them.
Oh, so Jones is not among them, so that means it would be Sean Storm Campbell and Andre St. John, the other 2 would have left with him.
Right.
Yeah, but tell us what happened. There were some last-minute issues to be sorted out. Explain that to us.
So the prison officials, as you'd imagine, would have to make sure that the documentation was authentic. Of course, Mr. Palmer and his, no longer co-accused, no longer co-defendant, but let's call them his friends, were being held in the facility and were essentially serving life sentences. So they had to ensure that the documentation brought by the defense counsel was indeed authentic. They said they would not accept the documentation simply brought by the defense counsel.
Yeah.
So the counsel had to go back before a judge to have the documents verified and then sent to DCS headquarters. And then the order came. I think they said it was a B16. Don't quote me on that. I think it's a B16 form. Mm-hmm. And then it came, the lawyers came back, delivered the documents, and then just about 5 minutes ago, Mr. Palmer walked out.
Go ahead.
Ricardo, have you had any word from the defense or the prosecution, for that matter, since his official release?
Well, we did manage to get an off-the-record briefing from members of the prosecution team, and the word from the prosecution team, essentially, we wish him all the best, and we know the streets will welcome him with open arms.
The streets? Interesting.
Yes.
Meaning the streets.
I suppose it's fans and it's
yes. But nothing beyond that, as expected.
Nothing. They were not prepared to say anything beyond that. And of course, Siobhan, the defense team, as you can imagine, simply elated. I sent in a video earlier, and I put the question to Isaac Buchanan, is this the case of your life? Because the kind of reception he received when he walked out of the Court of Appeal, it was something akin to a rock star. And as you can imagine, for the fans of Vibes Cartel, this man, Isaac Buchanan, is a hero. He has finally made manifest what they have been calling for the better part of a decade, which is free Vibes Cartel.
Yeah. Ricardo, you did say when he emerged from the gates of Tar Street, he entered a limousine.
Yes. There were 2 of them, stretch white Perry's the company Paris, yes.
And 3 of them went into the limousine, or just Cartel?
So they all initially went into one, and I managed to get to the door. The door was open. We were trying to talk to him, and the others were sort of cramming into the one that he had gone into. A lady who I assumed to be his fiancée based on the kind of hug they shared. He said to them, "No, man, there are 2. We brought 2. You guys go into the other one." So he was sharing one with his girlfriend, spouse, fiance, and the other men went into the other limousine that had come.
Oh, okay. And of course, they were chauffeur driven.
They were, indeed.
So that took place at about 5:30.
Yeah, I'd say just about 8 minutes ago. I mean, I don't know how much you'll make of the video once it comes through, because it was a pretty chaotic scene. Security forces quickly lost control of the situation, and of course the crowd moved with him, and the media moved with him, and then at one point, half of us was inside the car, the other half outside, and so it was a little bit of a chaotic scene for about 2 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm. But what of the crowd around there?
Right. So when we got here, I'd say just about 3 o'clock or 3:30 thereabout. A crowd had already gathered. ACP Gary McKenzie was on the ground as commander. So too Superintendent Chambers, I believe her name is Tommy Lee, I beg your pardon, Tommy Lee Chambers of the East Kingston Police. They were commanding the area, so they gave the clearance notice that if persons weren't with the media, they ought not to be in the immediate vicinity of the gates of the prison. And so some cordons were set up and the crowd was sent back. And only media and DCS workers were allowed to be directly in front of the prison. And an interesting phenomenon, Cliff, was that literally everybody went live on social media. So all across the internet, those who are not here could hop onto any random person's live. The members of the DCS were live, members of the media were live, and random civilians who had come to witness this were live from rooftops and that kind of a thing. And some of the children, it dawned on me, and some were saying that they don't know who he is. They've heard his music, but they've never seen him. And so it was a bit of excitement for them to see who is this dancehall artist that they would have grown up hearing about and had never seen.
Yeah.
What about the sentiment of the security forces? Were you able to speak with any of the police officers on scene, whether officially or unofficially, about the release of Mr. Palmer?
I'm sorry, Shavana, I'm having difficulty hearing you.
No, what about the sentiment of the security forces? Were you able to speak to any of the officers on the scene, whether officially or unofficially, about the release of Mr. Palmer?
I mean, they maintain a certain level of professionalism. They would not say anything either on the record or off the record. The posture was simply, we're here to execute our duties, and that's what they did today.
All right, stay with it for a little bit more, Ricardo, and you should try and send us that video again. We're not seeing it. Yeah, it should have been with us by now. We want to see that.
Yeah, I imagine because I'm on the phone, the transfer may have been interrupted.
Yes, and if you're outside the Tar Street Adult Correctional Center, phones don't work very well on the outside, you know. Remember, they jam.
The jamming, right.
Yeah, so get away from there and send it to us as quickly as possible, please.
All right.
Thank you very much, Ricardo.
Not a problem.
Good. When we come back, we're going to get reactions from attorneys, Bert Samuels, and hopefully John Clark after the break.
Outperform, outlast, guilty. We top performance, guilty. Jackama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
My Mega Mart, best value by far.
With so much to do in one location, make Mega Mart your one-stop shop.
Pick up your groceries and houseware needs. Grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Jamaica is here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off the summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Welcome back to the cover story, listeners. If you are just joining us, it is official. Vibes Cartel and his former co-accused are now out and about after the Court of Appeal handed down its ruling that there will be no retrial for the convicted dancehall artist. Well, to discuss this further, we're being joined by defense attorneys Bert Samuels and John Clark. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, starting with you, Mr. Samuels, your reaction to the news coming down from the Court of Appeal this afternoon?
A long walk to freedom. Emancipation is gift to hard work of the various teams. There are 3 teams: the trial team, the Court of Appeal in Jamaica team, the Privy Council team, and the 4th team is the retrial team. So that is hard work, and it has paid off eventually. So we are in great mood.
And you, Mr. Clark?
Yes, I agree with what my colleague has indicated. The accused and are actually relieved for such a long time, 13 years. They have now, at least 3 of them have now been released. And we are happy, disappointed it's taken so long, but we're happy that somehow the nightmare that they would have suffered for the last 13 years restarted on the 30th of September 2011, when the first group of them were arrested, is now at least over in relation to this particular case, and they can start afresh on Emancipation Day with moving on with their life and spending time with their family and loved ones.
And that is where I would like to start. 13 years in the making, the quashing of this conviction, and surely you have to take advice from your clients, but I wonder, is this the end of it, or will you be seeking further recourse for Mr. Palmer and the other gentlemen?
Well, ultimately, as I've heard Bert indicated that there are 4 different teams that they have dealt with this matter at different stages in the criminal justice system. So I know that at the appropriate time they will engage whatever team they decide is just, and may decide if they ultimately want to move on with this. But I can tell you one thing: after 13 years in the criminal justice system, I would have, from my experience speaking with them, realized that they're very tired of engaging the court system. So I'll be a bit surprised. But if they have the strength or find the strength to bring civil action in relation to nightmare for the last 13 years, because at some point in time they're just tired, as I've heard on many occasions, of engaging Jamaica's inefficient, in their view, court system.
And I want to pick up on that point, Bert Samuels. You're a very senior practitioner. The major lessons for the justice system coming out of this entire episode lasting for so many years.
Should I mince words, Cliff?
No.
Okay, so let's start. I think that the DPP who imposed herself in the chambers, she was not a member of the prosecution team and misled the judge, ought to have known better not to encourage the judge, who was a senior judge and himself should have known, to continue the case with Juror X, who was alleged to have been bribing the others. The lesson from that is the prosecution has a duty to see that justice is done. It's not win or lose for them. The Constitution says that the arm of the state in the form of the prosecution must protect the rights of persons on trial.
So the lesson from that is, and I say this to young members of the DPP's office, do not seek a victory which will be short-lived and make you look as unconstitutional as that now looks in retrospect. The other system is that I was particularly disappointed when the Court of Appeal did not accept in Jamaica the arguments that we had presented in relation to that jury point. And it led to another court having to make pronouncements and did, make our domestic court seem as they are unable to give justice. But at the end of the day, the delays that have come in the system, if you look at the judgment, this court has said, listen, there's a bad track record on the part of orders for retrial. Retrials are not happening on time, and therefore the breach of Section 16 of the Constitution that you're entitled to a trial within a reasonable time is real and live in Jamaica. Trials are being delayed, and persons have a constitutional right to early trials. That's my summary.
And Mr. Samuels, I would like to take you on that point, because when I listened to that ruling, I found it almost strange that judges themselves suggesting that Mr. Palmer would not get justice in a fair amount of time. Wouldn't that be essentially an indictment upon their own justice system to suggest that, well, we wouldn't be able to get around to having this trial dealt with in what can be considered a fair period of time for the co-accused?
And they used empirical evidence was produced. The court did ask for them to produce over the last couple of years how many retrials have been ordered and how many retrials have in fact taken place. And that evidence was stunningly embarrassing and caused the court to think in the way it did today. It did look at empirical evidence.
And importantly, even though the evidence that we would have received from the court, what was concerning apparently is that there is a particular case, and I'm sure the media will do their work, where there's a Jamaican citizen who's waiting for 20 years for his trial in relation to allegations of murder, which took place 20 years ago to be completed. 10 years ago, a retrial was ordered by the Court of Appeal, and that matter still stands before the Jamaican justice system awaiting to be heard. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned, especially from those situations, because the court has learned and has indicated that there's a need for an examination of the system by which we have retrial to ensure that other Jamaican citizens who may be poor, who may not have the resources to again engage for a retrial, don't have to spend too lengthy a time waiting on retrial. So even though we had a report saying that there were those two cases, there are other cases that never came out in that particular report, which are still languishing before the court, and we're hoping will eventually be resolved. But Parliament itself will have to look at the retrial provision in our appellate legislation to ensure that that provision is brought into the 21st century and gives the Court of Appeal sufficient teeth to deal with a situation where the order retrial and for a long period of time, no retrial has been done. In England, for example, after ordering retrial for a certain period of time, that retrial order lapsed. In Jamaica, we don't have such a provision. And it may lead to a situation where the Court of Appeal will continue to be very reluctant to order retrial when it has no power to ensure that abuses of citizens' rights do not take place based on that order.
John Clark, Cartel and his co-defendants are happy, free men, yes, going back to their families this evening. But there's another family who must not be forgotten. Clive Lizard Williams' family. They don't even have a body. Yes? What of them? Where the justice... Huh?
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
Yes.
When you have a justice system where you don't have interference by a prosecutor and a judge making such bad decisions, then you would have had a trial going through, a retrial because of the jury point, another trial, and then the verdict would have come. So we can't blame the accused, we can't blame the lawyers who defended the accused, because if you have principles of justice adhered to, we'll have trials going through without that kind of problem, and we have verdicts that we say guilty or not guilty. When you interfere and try to railroad the system of justice, this is what happens. So the blame should be put at the feet of those who are trying to get a temporary victory.
Entirely. And importantly, please, we can't forget that the men are innocent until proven guilty. And what the Privy Council had indicated is that there's absolutely no evidence that any of the accused men had anything to do with the jury tampering incident. So importantly, as senior counsel indicated, what we must start with is the presumption of innocence. And what we have, unfortunately, is a situation where the justice system would have failed the family of the victim, and the failure of the justice system should not be visited upon the accused men, who themselves can also argue the justice system failed them because they cannot give back Cartel 13 years of his life. And that's 13 years of his life in which he could have made a lot of money as an entertainer. 13 years of Sean Storm life in which perhaps Sean Storm could have developed himself to be one of the greatest entertainers in Jamaica as well, and make a lot of money as well. None of the accused men who are released today or their families will get back that 13 years. So on both sides of the fence, you have an aggrieved accused and their family, and you have an aggrieved victim and their family.
All right, John Clark, Bert Samuels, thank you for that perspective, for those perspectives. And we now have the video, sent in by Ricardo Brooks from the Tor Street Adult Correctional Center. The moment when Vibes Cartel walked out of the gates of Tor Street this afternoon at approximately 5:30, 5:35. Here's that video if you're with us on our YouTube platform, streaming on Nationwide 90 FM Live.
Just back.
So we're going to just run that video again for you. And Siobhan, clearly the three with the orange bandana, that's not a bandana, the orange handkerchief, wrapped around their heads and much of their face, most of the faces of the three of them. And they moved towards the limousine. Did we get a shot of them going into the limousine? Yes. We're going to show you that as well. But let's go. Let's watch this.
Mama try to take care of me now, man. None of the boy, I know. Who the guys are? Hold on, come. Just back. What the people? You want behind us up? Cartel, boss. Cartel. Touching no man, I can see him here. Cartel. I need a farmer.
Well, there you have it. Yes. For those watching on Nationwide 90 FM YouTube video stream, you see two limousines. Yes.
You can see the champagne and everything clearly.
Yes. And the lady beside him must be the one who Ricardo referred to as
his significant other.
Yes. Very happy. Yeah. So, that's where we're going to leave it for the cover story. The headlines at 6 are next.
cover story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. There were scenes of jubilation and excitement outside the Court of Appeal this afternoon as news spread that dancehall star Vybz Cartel had been freed. President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marvin McDonald Bishop, delivered the news.
Having regard to all the considerations the court has taken into account, we conclude that the interests of justice do not require a new trial to be ordered for the appellants, and we therefore make the following order. Judgments and verdicts of acquittal are entered in relation to the appellants.
Justice Marvin McDonald Bishop, President of the Court of Appeal. Sean Campbell, Andre St. John, and Kahira Jones were also acquitted of the 2011 murder of Clive Lizard Williams. For Cartel's lead attorney, Isaac Buchanan, the Constitution had prevailed.
We certainly hope that, as we are saying this to you, that the process is being expedited and we just await their... This is their independence, emancipation, July 31st for them, and so it should be that. And so I am sure you've heard the posture of the court, that the wheel is in motion.
Isaac Buchanan, attorney representing Vybz Cartel. The entertainer left the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility a short while ago. He was greeted by family before driving away in a white limousine. And Professor of Culture, Gender and Society at the University of the West Indies, Donna Hope, says the appeal court's freeing of Vybz Cartel will have a significant impact on the music fraternity.
It means that there's going to be a lot of jubilation in the cultural space. It also means that in the musical space that there will be a lot of songs that are going to be coming out in support of ghetto youth, in support of, men who feel that they have been unjustly incarcerated, because what has happened is that in this instance, the justice system has had to respond to what is a situation that cannot be moved in any other direction.
Professor,
I listened very carefully to Justice Bishop McDonald, and the summation that she made. Once she said the word however, I knew everything else after would lead to an acquittal. So she set it up very carefully to show that the system is aware of the egregious nature of the crime and all the things that are associated with it, and then the however came.
She adds that the timing of the ruling is also significant, which is on the eve of Jamaica's celebration of Emancipation Day.
I mean, this is August morning in a lot of ways. We are going into the emancipation celebration and then followed by the independence celebration. This is going to be seen as a very prescient moment by many persons, myself included, that this verdict is handed down today when a lot of us are going to be doing August morning celebration. To ring in August 1, which is a celebration of our emancipation from the horrors of slavery, looking forward to August 6, which is a celebration of our independence from the colonial strictures. A lot of parallels are going to be drawn. I can see some of the academic articles that are going to come out about popular culture, the music, Vybz Cartel, and the way that this all came together and converged on August 31, 2024. A lot of meanings and hidden meanings are going to be shown coming out of this.
Donna Ho, Professor of Culture, Gender and Society at the UWI. Meanwhile, the mood in Halfway Tree following the ruling on Tuesday afternoon was one of borderline apathy. When Nationwide News went out to get reactions in the lead up to the ruling, very few people were willing to speak on the air about the matter. Some cited not enough knowledge about the matter as their reason, while others simply had no desire to voice their views publicly. A vendor told Nationwide News that he was hopeful that the court would be sympathetic to Cartel due to his debilitating health.
For based on my story still, and the Queen of the England government take over and pray and them say what they want to say. Feel like you might get a chance. You see me, because remember, yeah, it is sickly, you know. You see me? So, if we get a chance, we have to just hope that it work out, you know. And I best. You see me, and the artists have to just stay strong.
Following the ruling, not many people reacted in the moment. However, one woman in particular was overjoyed by the court's decision to let her favorite entertainer go free. She says upon hearing the decision, she will be stocking up on bleaching cream.
Well, right now, you have to go buy my bleaching cream them. Because yes, me I wait. You know how long me I bleach? Any stage you the boss book, why you gotta have it in personal? Yes, are the best thing them do. Me not saying like free world boss are the best thing. We're happy. I will feel alive now. Yeah, what a party. And the whole party right now for world boss.
A Vibes Cartel fan in Halfway Tree. In other news, the Office of Utilities Regulation OUR will issue a directive to the Jamaica Public Service Company JPS for it to comply with the timeline given for the restoration of electricity in affected communities. Director General of the OUR, Answered Hewitt, made the disclosure at Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing.
We have conveyed to JPS in all our engagements that we expect that it will exercise all diligence to expedite restoration. In our last meeting with JPS on Monday, July 29, they assured us that all service will be restored by the 12th of August, even in the most critically damaged areas, including Westmoreland, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth, Eastern Hanover, and in Western Hanover, for which it claims a peculiarity, by August 15. I received a report this morning, however, that Western Hanover is also scheduled to be back by August 12.
Several communities across the island remain without power 4 weeks after the passage of Hurricane Beryl on July 3. Mr. Hewitt noted that a directive became necessary as JPS missed previously established restoration dates.
The OUR is aware that these dates and numbers are very small comfort to customers who have been without service since July 3, and so we have urged the company to take every possible step, including the engagement of additional resources to shorten these timelines. Given that the company has missed previously established restoration dates, the OUR will be issuing a directive for it to comply with the timelines it has given. If they are missed, the JPS will be required to show that it took all reasonable steps within its means to have secured compliance.
Answered Hewitt, Director General of the OUR. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Sports is next.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Router plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to SportsMax on us. Activate a plan today. One side, one Digicel, one Jamaica. Digicel, better connected.
Jamaica! Meet your new bread obsession, Excelsior Butter Bread. Soft, fresh, and bursting with flavor. Ideal for a quick snack, pairing with your favorite cheese, or making the best egg sandwich ever. And guess what? It's just $100. It's the best choice for a tasty, affordable meal. Perfect for anyone on the go and those looking for a filling lunch. Excelsior Butter Bread, making delicious affordable. Find it in stores island-wide today.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
Jamaica, it's here again. Phosphorage Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Phosphorage Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Phosphorage. Open Sundays.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. The reigning Olympic 100 meters champion Marcel Jacobs of Italy is backing himself to retain the title at the Paris Games. The men's 100 meters begins on August 3 in Paris. The Italian stunned the field to snatch gold in the COVID-delayed Tokyo Olympics in a European record of 9.80 seconds. He made it double gold just days later by helping Italy to victory in the 4x100 meters relay. Jacob says he wants to lay to rest arguments that his victory was pure luck.
Yeah, I'm super relaxing because I want to live these vibes. You know, the last Olympics was really restrictive. We cannot speak with each other. Was everything closed? No, here is a lot of difference. But, you know, I work really hard for arriving this Olympics in the best shape. So I'm ready. I want to just go to the track, have fun, and try to win again.
Meanwhile, Jacobs admits that several sprinters have run faster than him this season, but he's not intimidated by what happens outside the Olympics.
Every year is some fastest guy in the world. You know, I know he's not just me. He's a lot of guys to work hard and want to win, of course. Count more when you arrive there. Who is more strong with head can win. So I work at a lot of my body, a lot of my mind, so I'm ready.
Marcel Jacobs, meanwhile, defending Olympic 200 meters champion Andre de Grasse, is confident he'll be able to defend his title.
Yeah, I mean, it feels great to be back. Third Olympics, super grateful for the opportunity. You don't get this opportunity a lot to even go to, after one Olympic Games, right? So definitely to be here for my third one, it's just an incredible feeling, and I'm super pumped up and excited to really be a part of this Games.
American Noah Lyles is favored to win in the event in the French capital, but de Grasse says he's not daunted by anyone's favorite tag.
For me, I don't worry about any names. I just go out there and execute my best race. I never think about any other athlete before, so I always go out there. It's, whoever runs the best on that day. I mean, you can run fast before that or after that, but no one's going to remember those moments. Everyone always remembers, the Olympic game moment. So you have to just go out there and run fast when it matters, and that's what I hope to do. On Saturday night or even Wednesday, Thursday night for the 200 as well.
Andre de Grasse. In the meantime, Jamaica's gold medal prospect at the Paris Olympics have been dealt a severe blow after Shericka Jackson admitted she'll not run in the 100 meters. Nationwide's Wayne Walker is in Paris and filed this report.
The 200 meters world champion, speaking at a media day put on by her shoe sponsor Puma, said the injury she suffered on July 9 in Hungary played a role in the decision. Jackson pulled up near the finish in the women's 200 meters at the Iswan July meeting, and she has not raced since. Friday's start of the 100 meters appeared to have come too quickly for her, and she says she is happy with the decision to give up the lane.
The decision is just to protect my body. As I said, for the last 3 years I've been competing in both events, and I think it's a combination of both, just focusing on one event and what happened in Hungary. So it's a combination of both. I'm always at peace, As I said, you have to make decisions that are best for your body and your mind and your soul. And I think I'm okay with the decision Coach and I made.
Jackson will now report to the start for the 200 meters with 3 extra days rest and fresher than had she ran the 100 meters as she chases her first individual Olympic gold.
It will means a lot. As I said, I don't have an Olympic gold medal, individual medal, let me be clear. So I think it would be definitely good. Just to have fun, it's always the same. Whether it's an Olympic or a World Championship there, you always want to keep your goal the same. So it's just to stay focused and have fun while doing it.
She's also warned not to expect any attempt at breaking the world record this year.
With all honesty, I don't think there's a world record coming, but I don't think there's a world record coming. Let me put it on the table. So there won't be any world record coming. but definitely to compete at my best.
Meanwhile, national champion Kishane Thompson came through an impressive training session this morning that pleased his coach Stephen Francis.
Well, I'm always excited when I see the athletes who I coach do well from the blocks, because it's a crucial part of the races, and so it's very satisfying.
In addressing whether Thompson will be able to deal with the mind games of rival Noah Lyles, Francis said this.
You'll find that he plays mind games with those people who is faster than. So I don't think he will have that much opportunity this time around, but we'll see if his mind games works on people who have demonstrated that they are a lot faster than he is.
From the French capital Paris, site of the 2024 Olympic Games, Wayne Walker for Nationwide 90 FM, the exclusive radio broadcasters of the Games in Jamaica.
Thank you, Wayne. Now, the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, has appointed Stephen McLaren as the new head coach of the national senior men's football team. The former England boss has been given a 2-year contract aimed at guiding the Reggae Boys towards the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Rickett says they're confident they made the right decision.
It's common knowledge that we did a number of interviews, and from get-go we had probably 40 applicants. We came down to a short list of 5, and he came out on top of those 5 in terms of what came out of the interview. The questions were common amongst all the applicants, and he came out head and shoulders above everybody else. So he was selected, and he has accepted, and we are now ready to go.
Rickett says McLaren is excited to take charge of the Reggae Boys.
Absolutely. Very excited and raring to go. Well, we have not yet finalized the start date, but it certainly will be very soon, maybe another week or so.
Michael Rickett. Now, Manchester City have been fined over £2 million sterling for repeatedly coming out late for both the start of matches and after half-time. The club accepted they had breached Premier League rules 22 times without good reason external. The Premier League said the club had apologized for the accepted breaches and confirmed that it has reminded the players and football management teams of their responsibilities. Now, opposition junior spokesperson on sports Olivier Rose welcomes the government's announcement that $75 million has been made available for the start of reconstruction work on the National Stadium. In a statement, Rose said the government's decision to allocate $75 million to start reconstruction of the National Stadium is a positive step towards developing our national sports infrastructure. She said this investment has the potential to boost the economy through job creation and tourism, while also providing our athletes with a world-class facility to hone their skills and compete at the highest levels. However, she says it is important to address issues regarding transparency.
Firstly, there needs to be a clear and detailed plan outlining how the allocated funds will be spent, including timelines. Critical of this being a start date, since this government is known for making announcements during periods of heightened emotion, such as the Olympics, and then there is little or no follow-through with additional resources needed to complete this project. Along with the call for transparency includes a call for the expected outcomes and what type of accountability measures will be in place. And this plan should be made available to the public to ensure that there is also stakeholder engagement and transparency.
Olivier Rose. Now to golf, as the Jamaican ladies team ended day 1 of the 67 Caribbean Amateur Golf Championships atop the leaderboard at the Iberia Star Golf Course in the Dominican Republic. The scores of 2 of the 4 ladies were responsible for Jamaica's position. Newcomer to the team, Kira Williams, and longtime representative Emily Main both shot even par 72 to put Jamaica in the driving seat. The ladies are vying for the George Steele Trophy. Puerto Rico with a +1 score and the Dominican Republic with +13 were in second and third respectively. The men's team, who are playing for the Horman Cup, were in third place with a +8 score. Perennial winner Puerto Rico were leading the team section with a -3 score, while the Dominican Republic were holding down the second place with a +1 score. Now on to cricket, as president of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shallow, announced a Barbados Raider the new selection policy for Caribbean teams. Veteran cricket commentator Joseph Rez Pereira explains.
Well, finally, the president of the West Indies board has come out to say on Barbados radio that the new policy will be that the coach alone will pick the West Indies squads in the future. This will apply to red ball and white ball. So the South African tour, for example, will be picked by Andre Coley, and that should be announced in the next 24 hours. But it's a total disrespect for the press. Not even a press release has come out to announce the change. This, of course, also does not go to the international press, and it's disappointing that such a major change is being done and not a word officially from the Cricket West Indies.
Joseph Fres Pereira.
It's time for Olympic Corner. A look at the big happenings at the Paris 2024 Olympics.
At one point, Jessica Fox could have been forgiven for thinking she would never win Olympic gold. But the Australian canoeist has now won her past 3 Olympic finals, rewriting Games history, and will bid for an unprecedented treble at Paris 2024 later this week. Fox was born in France and has lit up the canoe slalom on her return, proving a class above her rivals. On Wednesday, she retained her canoe singles title in style, storming down the course to claim victory by 2.48 seconds, despite incurring 2 penalty seconds for making contact with a gate. That came just 3 days after her kayak single triumph, which ended a long, agonizing wait for gold in that event.
That was Olympic Corner. A look at the big happenings at the Paris 2024 Olympics.
Okay, that was our Olympic Corner. I'm Alex Swiby, and that's your sport.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
For hard-to-get medications, over-the-counter and chemotherapy drugs, visit Dean's Pharmacy Papine. When others don't have it, we do. Dean's Pharmacy. Feeling better starts right here.
The temperature by Dean's Pharmacy, feeling better, starts right here is
32 degrees Celsius in Sydney, Kingston, and 28 in Montego Bay.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Router plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to Sportsmax on us. Activate a plan today. One side, one Digicel, one Jamaica. Digicel, better connected.
Ready, set, go!
Where are my winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where are my winning spirit?
Time for unite as one. Everybody go grab your rear rum. Support we at least them on number 1. Shine bright like Jamaican sun.
Where are my winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where are my winning spirit?
Must be 18 years old. Listen, drink responsibly.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart and we got a big one for us today, folks. We have a big discussion today. It's the talk of the town. We are talking about the biggest thing taking place in the country as we speak, the freeing of Vybz Cartel and his co-defendants. That will be Public Opinion for today. We're asking you, what's your reaction to the Vybz Cartel ruling. And just so you're briefed, just so you know what's going on, it's been quite a day. Yeah, it's been quite a day. There are chants of Free World Boss outside the Court of Appeal on King Street in downtown Kingston earlier this afternoon as the news was spreading that the dancehall star Vybz Cartel has been freed. Emancipation Day had come a day early for the self-styled world boss, Sean Storm, Sean Campbell, Kahira Jones, and Andre St. John. That judgment was announced to a packed courtroom shortly after 2 p.m. by President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva McDonald Bishop. There are two potential outcomes that were going to come from this, yeah? Either he was going to be freed or it was going to go to a retrial. Court of Appeal says he's a free man. So Vybz Cartel, as of right now, is a free man. Interesting scenes. So we are going to take a look at what the public is saying. And as somebody that went out today into Halfway Tree to get some opinions from the public, I must say, when it just happened, there are a lot of people skeptical of whether or not the news was real or not. They'd see me, they saw my Nationwide journey and be like, Nationwide, is it true? And I had to tell them, yeah, the Court of Appeal freedom. And only then they believed. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said Halfway Tree was buzzing. It wasn't really all that in Halfway Tree. But if you saw the videos posted so far, people downtown, people in Gaza City, Portmore, that's where the real excitement was. But let's get into some of the comments. We asked people on X what their reaction was to the cartel ruling. Kiragu Mina says, just replaying his songs one by one. Money Mia look slaps like never before. Horace MacDonald says the court seems to have eaten all the factors into consideration, including the amendment for mandatory minimum sentence for murder, which would have given the gentleman a longer prison sentence should they be convicted. Blazing Fire says we must hail and keep the Privy Council as our final appellate court. If it wasn't for the law lords, Vybz Cartel would still be in jail today. Diamond Edge says Cartel should thank God for the UK Privy Council. At least it's a court that believes in fairness and can't be influenced by politicians and others. This verdict clearly shows the inefficiencies of our judicial system and how it can be manipulated. Elon Musk admirer says he's not innocent. He's freed on grounds of technicality. Karma is the best punishment. Tevin Johnson says, I'm very disappointed. That's all I can say. Aurelia says KFC line got extra long. DJ says none. He has no reaction. Naaman says he's disappointed. Wayne Winston says justice was not served. God knows best though. What else we have here? I commiserate with Clive Lizard Williams' loved ones. That's what Chef says. And Truth Matters JA says the court system failed again. All right. There we have it, folks. So that's X. Let's take a look at good old Instagram. So we type in Nationwide 90 FM. And boom, there's public opinion. How many comments we have? We have quite a number. I can't read all of them. We got some long ones here, yeah? So, okay. Let's read it. So, Shambhala 1994 kicks us off. He says, justice was served in terms of constitutional breach. However, the evidence against him was overwhelming. I think the prosecution blundered and fell into the defense's trap, aided and abetted by the trial judge, who ought to have known better and either ordered a mistrial or a retrial. All right. NSC Daddy says, justice was served. Okay. Jerjer17 says, at least they faced some minimum jail time for the crime they committed with callous and malicious premeditation. Lethal Man says, I wonder if he'll sue the government. J. Springfield God says, shocked. Cleon Spence says, Jamaica love criminal bad. Jet Slate says, it's time Jamaicans start prioritizing what they seek to glorify. The man is guilty of murder and it could have been their brother that was murdered. Nat Musings says, fear. Lady Rebel says, kiss me teeth. Neil Lawrence 9235 says, justice was not served. J.A. Humanist says, travesty. And It's Me Jules says, Jamaicans hug up criminal bad. So we're going to take a look at Facebook and then we're going to go over to the YouTubers and see what they're cooking up in our comment section right now. I see them speaking right now. But yeah, let's go over to Facebook and then we head over to the YouTubers. So Michelle Bernard kicks us off. She says, crime wins. Javi Henry says, not every imprisoned person is guilty, and not every free man is innocent. Audley Phillips says, given the time lapse and other extenuating things, such as getting the original witnesses to testify again, plus the overall publicity, it was difficult to imagine them getting a fair retrial that wasn't prejudiced. The judges had no other option. Sky Taylor says, the lawyers did their jobs. He beat the system just like the big boys do on a regular. We ain't mad. Christine Reed says it's a travesty of justice. What else we have here? Robert Ranger says, the good book's words must be fulfilled. Natalie Winter says, thank God Almighty, he is free at last. And Original Boss Lady says, justice for Lizard family. The judges are against justice. All right, folks. So that's what the people on social media are saying. Let's take a look at what the YouTubers are saying. Carleen Smith has tagged me. She says, Carleen Smith says, what gone bad a morning cannot come good a evening. Poor handling of the case. Philip Jackson says, not genuine freedom. It's based on the bundling of the trial. Time will tell. Shai Smith says, Cartel is free, yes, but what about Clive Williams' family? It's a sad day. A sad, sad day. What at Papa Smurf in our YouTube chat says, mark my words, Cartel was safer in jail. Alright, what else we have here? If I scroll up, what will I see? Donovan said, tired of this now, nothing else happening in Jamaica? Sorry about that, Donovan. You know this is a big story. You know this is the biggest story going on right now, whether we like it or not, yeah? The news comes first, and this is at the top of every newscast across the island, yeah? Well, it wouldn't shock me if it was. Donovan comes back. He says, if we have any doubts of why crime is so high in Jamaica, it's showing in the streets of Jamaica this evening. All right. And Richardo Hall says, I'm watching from Canada, and he should be in jail. Muscle Burke says, time come. All right. All right, bro. Sunrise says, we must do away with the Privy Council. What else do we have? Not... Okay, here we go. Dane Barnett says, Isaac Buchanan was smart. He knows who the prosecutors and the judges are. Okay. Right, we keep going through. Keep checking for some more readable comments. Yes, I can't read all of these. I don't want to get sued, even though I'm reading what you guys are saying. I'm not trying to get sued on my birthday, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna take it easy. What else do we have here? Jamaicans and most people in the world created their own gods. Now Cartel is a godlike figure. This proved to all of us that God is a figment of our imagination, doesn't exist. All right, big truck. And one more thing. Let's see. South Coast says poetic justice awaits him. All right. That's public opinion for today. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. I read a lot of comments today. So we're going to move on to the business report. Let's do it.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Router plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to SportsMax on us. Activate a plan today. One side, one Digicel, one Jamaica. Digicel, better connected.
The Development Bank of Jamaica wants to see more businesses, more job creation, and better opportunities for people across Jamaica.
That's why since day one, we've been dedicated to facilitating economic growth and development across all sectors while providing funding and technical assistance to MSMEs, projects and other businesses through our strong partnerships. Because helping to build better businesses helps to build a better Jamaican economy for everyone. Visit us at dbankjm.com for more info. DBJ, the business builder.
This summer, transform your summer body with Express Fitness Gym. For just $9,500 on AutoPay, you'll get access to all our locations 24/7. Enjoy free classes, fully air-conditioned facilities, showers, and changing rooms. Plus, our certified trainers are here to help you reach your goals. Visit Express Fitness Gym today. Your goal is our mission. Find a location near you or sign up now at pay.expressfitnessja.com.
Good evening, you're tuned into the Business Report here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart. VM Group, the holding company for VM Financial Group Limited and VM Innovations Limited, has reported a net loss of $374 million for the 2023 financial year. It made the announcement at its first annual general meeting in Kingston on Tuesday. VM says the losses are partly the result of higher interest costs, declines in the stock market indices, and sustained inflationary pressures. The group says the effects were, however, tempered by its ongoing revenue diversification strategy, which saw it increasing its stake in associate company British Caribbean Insurance Company to 44.45% in 2023, while retaining a 23% stake in potential rich Kingston Properties Limited. VM says its diversified business model helped the group to yield solid growth in on and off balance sheet assets of $15.44 billion and $3.24 billion, respectively. And internationally, Australia's third largest airline has gone into voluntary administration and has cancelled flights on some of its routes. Rex Airlines specializes in flying to dozens of smaller regional towns and cities across the country, many of which are not serviced by larger rivals Qantas and Virgin Australia. Trading in Rex shares was halted earlier this week ahead of the announcement that Ernst & Young Australia has been appointed as administrator. It comes just months after another Australian carrier, Bonza, went out of business in a turbulent domestic market. Founded in 2002 after the collapse of Ansett, Rex flies in and out of 56 airports. That's the Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge, a super summer sale. July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off the summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale. July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Ready, set, go!
Where are the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where are the winning spirit?
Time for unite as one. Everybody go grab your rear rum. Support we at least them on number one. Shine bright like Jamaican sun.
Where are the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where are the winning spirit?
Must be 18 years old. Listen, drink responsibly.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business is...
Some of your favorite programs will be affected as Nationwide 90 FM broadcasts the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris. There will be no midday news, World at Noon, on Friday, August 2. Wednesday, August 7, Thursday, August 8, and Friday, August 9. The Mayor's Parlor will begin at 3:30 p.m. on Sunday, August 4, and at 3 p.m. on Sunday, August 11. The Consumer Hour will be off for the duration of the Olympics coverage, except on Monday, August 5. The JFJ-produced program Let's Talk Justice will be off for the duration of the Olympics. Cliff Hughes Online will end at midday on July 31. It will run from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Friday, August 2, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday, August 7, and from 10 a.m. to midday on August 8. It will be aired from 10 a.m. to midday on Friday, August 9. Regular programming resumes on Monday, August 12. Nationwide News Network thanks you for your understanding as we make space to bring to you the exploits of our athletes and ambassadors in Paris at the Olympics.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening, good evening. It's 6:41 and it's time for the Nation's Business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
Those were the chants outside the Court of Appeal on King Street in downtown Kingston earlier this afternoon as news spread that dancehall star Vybz Cartel had been freed. Emancipation Day had come a day early for the self-styled world boss along with two of his previously co-accused, Sean Storm Campbell and Andre St. John. Here is footage of the men leaving the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility around 5:30 this afternoon.
Just back, boss. Hey, just back. Just back. Just back.
That's right, folks. The judgment was announced to a packed courtroom shortly after 2 p.m. by President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop. Dana Davey has more in this report.
The declaration of the Court of Appeal was unmistakable. Freedom had come for Adidja Palmer. Newly installed President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, delivered the news.
Having regard to all the considerations the court has taken into account, we conclude that the interests of justice do not require a new trial to be ordered for the appellants, and we therefore make the following order. Judgments and verdicts of acquittal are entered in relation to the appellants.
The decision was unanimous, with Justices Paulette Williams and David Fraser agreeing. Sean Campbell, Andre St. John, and Kahira Jones were also acquitted of the 2011 murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Jones may not immediately be released as he's facing another matter in court. The acquittals for Williams' murder come a decade after they were first convicted of the brutal murder. The breakthrough finally came in March this year when the UK-based Privy Council determined that they had been denied a fair trial and overturned their convictions. The London-based court ordered the local Court of Appeal to determine whether they should be freed or again stand trial for the crime. On Wednesday, on the eve of Emancipation Day, the Court of Appeal determined that a retrial would not be in the interest of justice. For Cartel's lead attorney, Isat Buchanan, the Constitution had prevailed. He says it's been a long walk to freedom for the men.
We certainly hope that as we are saying this to you, that the process is being expedited and we just await their release. This is their independence, emancipation, July 31st for them, and so it should be that. And so I am sure you've heard the posture of the court that the wheel is in motion.
Attorney John Clark says no other Jamaican should suffer the ordeal Cartel, Campbell, St. John, and Jones faced.
I don't think that if you ask any of the appellants that they will say that they got justice. Because from day one, they profess their innocence. And at the end of the day, you have, after almost 13 years, you're just going home without the merits of the case actually being decided. So for the appellants, it is regrettable that this is how this matter has to end. And we hope that this will be a lesson for everybody who loves justice in Jamaica, because there are certain things that went wrong in this case. And that we hope that the persons who have the power to change things in this country will examine to ensure that no other Jamaican citizen have to spend 13 years in custody.
All eyes are now on the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility in downtown Kingston, where the self-styled world boss is expected to step confidently into the sunlight of freedom. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Thank you very, very much, Dana. Meanwhile, Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop outlined a litany of reasons why a retrial would not be in the best interest of justice.
These factors are the insufficient and inadequate account by the prosecution for the availability of its witnesses and trial exhibits. Witnesses and trial exhibits relied upon by the appellants, which tended to support their defense at their first trial, are now unavailable or cannot be accounted for. 3. The appellant's trial in the Supreme Court was complex, lasting 64 days, and utilized a significant share of the court and the appellant's resources. Therefore, the time, financial costs, expense, and impact on the court's resources, as well as other cases in the queue awaiting trial, we find that this is significant and it militates against a new trial.
The Court of Appeal president also made note of the declining health of Vybz Cartel.
4. The psychological, financial, and medical effect that a new trial would likely have on the appellants who have already spent 13 years in custody. We look at the medical problems relating to the appellant Palmer, which came through medical reports that stand unchallenged by the Crown and therefore speak to declining health in the penal institution. The court looks at the lapse of time between the commission of the alleged offense and the likely time in which a new trial would take place. 6. The unjustifiable interference with the appellant's constitutional rights to a fair hearing within a reasonable time and the potential for that breach or interference, we should say, continuing if a new trial is ordered.
That's Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop, the president of the Court of Appeal.
And jubilation erupted in Waterford, Portmore, St. Catherine this afternoon. One resident from a section of the community referred to as Gaza City, where Vybz Cartel grew up, says he's overwhelmed at the news.
Well, overwhelming again, you know. I know from ever since from the beginning, and now it's been, I have been here straight through, and I have been here for Vybz Cartel and his 3 and co-accused. And Vybz Cartel is a mentor to us in this community, right? And Vybz Cartel, I've been to prison one time with Vybz Cartel, and been there with Vybz Cartel. It's like he's out here with me, and I am glad that he's out here with me now. Glad him out here with me now, because man for free. Everybody deserves a second chance, and this is not really a second chance because he's stayed there for 13 years, and I am glad that he's free today at this moment. Today is Emancipation Day for us in Waterford, and tomorrow is Independence Day for us in Waterford. So we get emancipation and independence behind one another, back of one another. Overwhelming again. Vybz Cartel is free. All right. Overwhelming.
That's a resident of Waterford, Portmore. And in the meantime, members of the entertainment fraternity have welcomed the news that Vybz Cartel and his co-accused are now free men. Dancehall artist Bugle says he was elated when he heard the news.
Now one of them artists that have been a vouch for Cartel free regardless of what. Just like I'm event for any other artist. So, yeah, always I say free Cartel. It's just this morning me in our rehearsal and I said, freedom Vybz Cartel. So me feel good, me feel elated. Me just feel good within myself, so Vybz Cartel is actually a freed man today. And I just job work,
And in a quick reaction, dancehall queen Caroline also says justice has been served.
Well, I think justice has been served, and I mean, long awaiting. I'm happy. It's dancehall to the world.
And the swaggerific boss, Mr. G, says he hopes the men will make good use of their second chance.
I figured more or less it would have gotten thrown out, and today I heard on the news that that was the case. So, he has a second chance on life, he and Sean and the rest of them. So let's just hope everybody do the right thing and, may I say keep out of trouble and just try live as best as possible with them family and them friends, and just know say God give a second chance on earth.
And meanwhile, Professor of Culture at the UWI Mona, Donna Hope, says the appeal court's freeing of Vybz Cartel will have a significant impact on the music fraternity.
It means that there's going to be a lot of jubilation in the cultural space. It also means that in the musical space that there will be a lot of songs that are going to be coming out in support of ghetto youth, in support of, men who feel that they have been unjustly incarcerated, because what has happened is that in this instance the justice system has had to respond to what is a situation that cannot be moved in any other direction. I listened very carefully to Justice Bishop MacDonald, and the summation that she made. Once she said the word however, I knew everything else after would lead to an acquittal. So she set it up very carefully to show that the system is aware of the egregious nature of the crime and all the things that are associated with it, and then the however came.
And she adds that the timing of the ruling is also significant, which is on the eve of Jamaica's Emancipation Day.
I mean, this is August morning in a lot of ways. We are going into the emancipation celebration and then followed by the independence celebration. This is going to be seen as a very prescient moment by many persons, myself included, that this verdict is handed down today when a lot of us are going to be doing August morning celebration. To ring in August 1, which is a celebration of our emancipation from the horrors of slavery, looking forward to August 6, which is a celebration of our independence from the colonial strictures. A lot of parallels are going to be drawn. I can see some of the academic articles that are going to come out about popular culture, the music, Vybz Cartel, and the way that this all came together and converged on August 31, 2024. A lot of meanings and hidden meanings are going to be shown coming out of this.
That's Donna Hope, Professor of Culture at the UWI Mona.
So, listeners, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, the timeline of Cartel's arrest, which led up to this acquittal, right after the break.
No matter where you come from, the classroom or the boardroom, the farm or the front line, there's no dream too big for us to achieve together. Catch the action live this summer with a 7-day Prime Router plan for $1,100 and enjoy premium access to Sports Max on us. Activate a plan today. One side, one Digicel, one Jamaica. Digicel, better connected.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Me, busy as usual, so I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and box. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
Welcome back, listeners, as we go into this matter of Vybz Cartel, now released from prison. His conviction was quashed not too long ago, and now the Court of Appeal has ruled that there will be no retrial. He is a free man and he has walked out of the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility. Well, not walked out actually. He was chauffeured away in a white limousine as we understand it. But we now go back in time somewhat when Vybz Cartel was arrested and charged on the morning of September 30, 2011 for the possession of a small quantity of marijuana. Our reporter at the time, Agka Fitz-Henley, had filed this report.
Vybz Cartel was arrested by a police team from the flying squad in the wee hours of this morning. He and 3 associates were picked up at a New Kingston hotel and charged for possession of a small amount of marijuana. This was moments after shooting an episode of the Lime-sponsored TV series Teacher's Pet. Today, the police also searched at least 3 properties across the corporate area and St. Catharines said to be belonging to the entertainer, whose given name is Adidja Palmer. Properties in Norbrook and Havendale in St. Andrew and Waterford in Portsmouth, St. Catherine were searched. And well-placed police sources tell Nationwide News that the troubles of Vybz Cartel transcend a mere ganja charge. The artist is reportedly being interrogated by detectives in relation to a partially burned corpse that was found a few weeks ago at a Havendale St. Andrew home reportedly belonging to him. And with Vybz Cartel set to spend the weekend in jail, Nationwide News understands that telecommunications firm Lime is at this hour mulling its options in relation to the TV series Teacher's Pet, which premiered last week. When contacted, the entertainer's lawyer Christian Tavares Finson says he's still trying to get a wind of the situation before he comments. Speaking with Nationwide News this afternoon while searches were still taking place, a guarded ACP Elon Powell confirmed that the police are stepping up their investigations of Vybz Cartel. Abka Fitz-Henley for Nationwide News.
Right now, almost 3 years after his arrest on March 13, 2014, downtown Kingston was swarming with die-hard Cartel fans anxiously awaiting the verdict. They were left disappointed as each member of the quartet was found guilty by an 11-member jury and sentenced to life in prison. On April 3, 2020, exactly 6 years to the day that the life sentences were handed down, Cartel lost his appeal against the conviction. But 5 months later, on September 25, 2020, Cartel and his co-accused were granted conditional leave to go to the UK-based Privy Council to challenge the conviction.
Jamaica's final appellate court heard his case on February 14 and 15, 2024. A month later, on March 14, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council quashed the conviction on the grounds of juror misconduct.
It also ruled that the case should be remitted to the Court of Appeal of Jamaica to decide whether to order a retrial of the appellants for the murder of the deceased. The Court of Appeal heard submissions on the matter on June 10.
Over the 5 days in June, a 3-judge panel of the Court of Appeal heard arguments for and against the prospect of a retrial for Cartel and his co-accused. Those hearings focused on the cost of a possible retrial, the availability of witnesses, and the publicity the original trial had garnered. Cartel's health also featured prominently in those hearings, which has led us to today's ruling, and Mr. Vybz Cartel, Mr. Adidja Palmer, is now a free man, and we will see what comes in the coming days, Mr. Stewart. But I ask you, what is your opinion on this matter of him being freed of the case against him after 13 years? I see some people really perturbed by the ruling, believing that this is a miscarriage of justice, but in the interest of justice, I think a lot of people tend to forget justice is not just about arresting somebody, bringing before the courts, and then having a conviction at the end. It's more about the process, and due process has to be done in such a way as to not prejudice either the victim or those prosecuting the case. And if you look at the Privy Council's ruling and the ruling now brought by the Court of Appeal, I would have to come down on the side that it was the reasonable course of action taken by those two bodies, considering the issues raised in terms of the jury tampering and the concerns raised about whether Mr. Palmer and his co-accused could reasonably be expected to face a proper trial during a reasonable time frame at this juncture. What do you say, Mr. Stewart?
Well, part of me thinks that as well, because when I was going through the public opinion comments a while ago, that was something that a lot of people were bringing up. They were bringing up the point that it's more than just being innocent or guilty. It's about the process that you take to get to that point. And when I was going through public opinion, there's so many different opinions, but one common one that I kept seeing was people saying, listen, man, regardless of what you think about what actually happened to lead us to this case, it's the process that has led us, or an issue in that process, which is what actually led us to this ruling today. So I guess that's where my opinion stands as well.
So, people, let's not blame the lawyers that Mr. Palmer hired to get him out of this situation. We have to look back on our own justice system and see where the cracks are, and those cracks must be addressed. And I'm sure there'll be more to be said from the Office of the DPP in terms of why they felt they had to go forward, even considering the concerns raised about the potential of it being overthrown on appeal. But those are matters to be settled at a later date. And hindsight being 2020, people, you have to look on the ruling itself from both the Privy Council and the Court of Appeal today and realize that what they have raised in terms of the potential objections can't genuinely be considered to be unreasonable. But we have some Olympic coverage after this.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
7:01.
Ready, set, go! Where am I, the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where am I, the winning spirit?
Time for unite as one. Everybody go grab your rear rum. Support we at least them on number one. Shine bright like Jamaican sun.
Where am I, the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where am I, the winning spirit?
Must be 18 years old. Listen, drink responsibly.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Disaster recovery. Learning from Hurricane Gilbert. In the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said, and I quote him, "Though there was significant damage in sections of the island, in many other parts, including much of Kingston, the ackes and mangoes remain on the trees." End quote. Watching the nightly television news or journeying in the most affected parishes of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland, one is struck by the extent to which not only are the ackes and mangoes on the ground, but so too are utility poles and lines that transmit electricity to homes, institutions, and businesses. The extent of the damage to the electricity infrastructure was detailed in a statement by Minister of Science, Energy and Telecommunications, Daryl Vaz. 4,287 conductors, 2,602 poles, 134 transformers, 94 transmission structures, 2,185 pieces of transmission and distribution equipment. The perennial cry of "We want justice" has given way to "We want light." Tempers have reached boiling point, spilling over into noisy protests, including blocking of roads in a few affected communities. Prime Minister Andrew Holness stood on the floor of the House of Parliament to defend the beleaguered Jamaica Public Service, JPS, and to plead for patience. The Minister of Finance and well-thinking Jamaicans are justly proud of the improved economy and the noticeable absence of huge cargo planes bringing relief from donor countries to a poor and desperate nation. Justly proud of the multi-layered set of financing the government has put in place to help the country recover and rebuild after natural disasters. But the reality is that, particularly in the case of JPS, which was owned by government at the time of Hurricane Gilbert, but is today controlled by a private multinational company, the country needs help with restoring this critical infrastructure. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, disaster report for the financial year 1998 speaks to the type of aid that is needed and where it can come from. I quote in part from that document. Representatives of Florida Light and Power, FLP Company, were in Jamaica throughout late September, surveying damage to Jamaica's electrical network. Their assessments indicated that poor maintenance and improper installation of electric poles amplified the physical damage from Hurricane Gilbert. On October 12, a FLP team arrived with equipment and began immediate repairs. The United States Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance, OFDA, paid the initial assessment costs and for transport of the team. The other expenses were funded by the U.S. government rehabilitation package granted on September 28. End of quote from USAID Hurricane Gilbert disaster report. Why not send a SOS, a distress signal, to the American government and Florida Light and Power Company to again come to our assistance? Could it be we are too proud to beg for help, as was the norm not that long ago? Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Pack for better medication management.
Jamaica's third gold medal at the Olympic Games came in the men's 4x400 meters relay final at the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki. The quartet of Arthur Wint, Leslie Lang, Herb McKinley, and George Roden won the final and in the process broke the 20-year-old world record with a time of 3 minutes 03.9 seconds. McKinley's third leg of 44.6 seconds, credited with pulling Jamaica into contention from 10 meters back, is considered one of the greatest relay legs in history. On the last leg, George Roden, the 400 meters champion, and USA's Mal Whitfield, the 800 meters champion, ran virtually shoulder to shoulder, but Roden was able to keep the lead and beat Whitfield by a yard. This gave McKinley his first and only Olympic gold medal.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Pack for better medication management.
Paris Connection with Wayne Walker is brought to you by the Sagicor Group. Out of many, one pulse.
7:09, time for the Paris Connection with Wayne Walker. Sir Walker, how are you doing over there in Paris?
Hey, Siobhan, how are you? I'm fine, man. I'm fine. I'm doing well. It's 9 minutes past 2 on Thursday morning, so just getting ready for another day's work.
And do you have any updates to us? How are things looking? I know you had some news for us when we signed off yesterday. How have things proceeded since?
Well, pretty much the withdrawal from the women's 100 meters by Sherika Jackson is still the big news. What we're hearing, though, is that the decision not to run in the 100 meters was made a long time ago and was kept under wraps. And so neither her coach nor the people in charge of the team were surprised, when the news came out, because it was made, I want to say, a long time ago, probably close to a month. And I suppose it followed that performance in Hungary, where she pulled up about 25 meters from the finish in the women's 200 meters. So we were hearing yesterday that the decision would have been made as long ago as that, But it is still the dominating the discussions here. Well, certainly amongst the Jamaicans, and people are now wondering, what sort of medal intake Jamaica will have at the end of the championship on Sunday, August 11th. And there's no question that her absence from the 100 meters will affect that medal tally. Whoever sat down or took the time to sort of do the tabulation and sort of trying to arrive at a medal haul that Jamaica could possibly take in at the end of the championship will now have to rejig that, and the expectation now falls on the shoulders of a 19-year-old, soon to be 20, to at the very least bag a medal. To ask Tia Clayton to get a gold medal would be a stretch. Is it impossible? No, but it's not improbable. It's a massive undertaking. It's a massive ask for a 19-year-old to shoulder. But then sport is young. We saw Lamine Yamal leading Spain to the European Football Championship. So who knows? But it's a tough ask. Especially Forbes, who has been brought in to replace Sherika, is very capable. How far will her undeniable talent will take her in this 100 meters campaign is still left to be seen. Today is Thursday, and it's the start of athletics here, but it's a walk race competition, the real athletics, and not that walk race isn't the real, because it's a part of the sport. It's one of the disciplines in the sport. But the 100 meters for women, for instance, that will get going tomorrow, and we now know the 3 Jamaican women who will be in action: Shelley and Fraser Price, Tia Clayton, and Sasha Lee Forbes. But Lamar Distin should be the first Jamaican in action in one of the flights of the high jump for women, which should be going off at 10:30 tomorrow here local time, which would be 3 o'clock in the morning Jamaica time. So that's pretty much what is happening today. In another 6 hours or so, the Jamaican will continue to prepare, and again we'll make the trek down to the stadium to watch them prepare. Should intensify. They only have 1 day to go before the start of athletics, so we should see a massive turnout tomorrow at the training stadium.
That's good to hear, Wayne. This is Mahiri, by the way. I don't know if Dana told you it's me, but what I want to ask you is, because first of all, the YouTubers are grateful for you right now because they've been all cartelled out. They've been waiting for some Olympics coverage. So thank you for taking time out of what you probably should be sleeping right now, but thank you for being here as always. But what I want to ask you is, can you give us a little bit more of a profile on Sharika's replacement, Sasha Lee Forbes, and what her career has been leading her up to this moment where she's replacing one of our best sprinters in such an important event?
Yeah, for sure. So, Sasha Lee finished fourth at the national championship. As you know, the team is picked from what was done at the national championship. Sasha Lee finished in fourth position. So, if any of the top three can, fill the roles, then the person that finished right behind them will take it up. And that is the reason why she's the person to replace Sherika Jackson. Now, she trains at JC Foster College with Maurice Wilson, who incidentally is the technical leader of the Jamaica team. So he knows her very well. He knows what she's capable of. And, she's one of those athletes who she runs regularly on the circuit. And to run regularly on the circuit, you've got to have some quality. And Sasha Lee certainly has the quality. How far will that quality take her? Nobody knows. Because the global championships, we've heard it before, and we're pains to point out that what you do coming into the championships is irrelevant when the championship actually gets underway. Because it's how you stitch together 2 nights of performances, because that's what they get. It starts on Friday, they run the final on Saturday night. So it's about how you do it, how you put it together, how you respond to the pressure physically and mentally of running in a cauldron as noisy and as intimidating as the Stade de France, which they'll be performing in for the next 9-10 days. And so we anxiously await Sasha Lee Forbes' performance. She's dipped below 11 seconds a couple of times, which is a requirement to get into finals like these and to win medals. You've got to perform below that, very basic standard of running sub-11. She's done it quite a few times. I don't think she's going to frighten the other 8 ladies, the other 7 ladies who might get into the final if she happens to. But she's decent enough to I think, get as far as the semifinals. And if she, with some luck, if she gets a good semifinal draw, and she could get to the final. Her problem is that there are at least 12, 13, perhaps even 14 other women in the world who run sub-11 quite consistently. And that is the issue or problem that she might face. She's facing people who run sub-11 very consistently, and that could help them. Muscle memory is very key. Consistency is very key. And ability to hold it together is very key. And I think she might slightly be lacking in those areas. But then it's what you do when you get here, how you manage to put yourself together over those 2 nights. And it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how she handles that.
Wayne, a listener asked an interesting point. Who is the alternate for the 4x100? Because Sasha Lee would have been in that race otherwise. So who would be added to that roster outside of that?
Well, I'll put it this way. With Sherika not running the 100 meters, I don't know if she'll be keen on running the 4x1. But since she's done to run the 200 meters, this year they're only allowing 5 people in the village, and Kemba Nelson is just a neighboring country in Spain. She's not far away from here. She finished 5th in the championship in Kingston. So yeah, they could call on her. Another thing is, when you make the team, you can be used however the management see fit. There's also Alana Reid, who is here as well. And she's training like hell. Every day you see Alana at the training ground, you think she's going to run one of the individual events. She's really training very, very, very hard. Sasha Lee was doing the same as well until she was told a night ago that she's going to run. So they might have a relay team, but not the relay team that they would want to be as competitive as the USA. But they should have. Shelley and Fraser Price is there as well. I'm not sure what's their status as far as the 4x1. But there's a team that's practicing here, minus the main names, which is a problem. But to answer the question, Kemba Nelson could be brought in. I don't know if Akira Nugent, who is down for the 100 meters hurdles for women, they're looking her direction. She does well generally. So they have 4, possibly 5 ladies who could make a team and perhaps get even into the final. The question is what kind of performance they'll put down. But to actually get a team together, I don't think they should have a problem.
I see. And going back to Sasha Lee, have you spoken with her since you've landed in France? I believe you probably have by now. But even before this announcement, because as you said, it was something that had been decided for a while. So actually 2 questions now to think about it. Is there any reason why this withdrawal of Sharika from the 100 meter was kept under wraps for as long as it was? And secondly, if you have spoken to Sasha Lee, what has her mood been like since she's landed in France and has been preparing for these games and now preparing for representing Jamaica in the 100 meters?
Well, I don't know. I consider you a social media guru, right? So you probably would be on social media to see that dance off with Janelle Bromfield, have you?
Actually, now that you mention it, yes.
Good. So you answer that question about the mood that she's in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what you saw in that video is not dissimilar to what we see every day.
Right.
We have spoken to her in an official capacity, her late in quotation, because as we agreed that we heard that it was made a long time ago. But let's, for the purpose of the conversation, say her late inclusion. So she only was told about it on Tuesday night. So let's assume that, so she was told officially on Tuesday night. When she came to training yesterday, she walked in and, her mindset would have been totally different, because there she was all along training as an alternate, even though I'm sure they told her that it's a possibility. But she was training as an alternate. So her mindset will now have to shift to now a certainty as opposed to an alternate. She's not sure if she's going to run or not, now that she was told. So she trained with a different mindset yesterday without question. We didn't talk to her in an official capacity, meaning interview her to ask her how she feels about it, because I think the attention was on Kishane, and we stood at the exit to make sure that we get a hold of him when he was leaving. And then we also wanted to talk to Stephen Francis about the Sherika Jackson situation. In fact, we also wanted to talk to Sherika herself, who was there. So we really didn't pay a great deal of attention to Sasha Lee, which we might do today. And so we really don't know, her thoughts as far as, being dragged in to run in the individual is concerned. I suppose today we'll get an opportunity to talk to her in an official capacity. But as a generality, she's a, happy person, and that, she reflected up until, yesterday when we saw her, and now have to shift her mindset to a more serious posture.
Well, that's certainly good to hear, but I guess going on from now, you mentioned social media earlier, and it's funny you mentioned that, because when I'm going through social media, at least on my Instagram stories with some of my friends, I'm seeing a lot of doom and gloom. I'm seeing a lot of pessimism. A lot of people are saying this is going to be the worst Olympics of all time because of all these injuries that Jamaica's being faced with. We know Shelly-Ann's had her problems. Sharika's out of the 100 meter. We do have Elaine. A lot of people are a bit doom and gloom, but as the analyst, as the sports analyst, as you've looked over this Jamaican team, how much hope would you say? What would you say to encourage the pessimists down here who think that this isn't going to be one of them Olympics that we remember for a long time?
Yeah, and I can understand their concern. But I think they're concerned for one major reason. I think we've been spoiled by the very high standards that we've set over previous Olympic Games, more so recent Olympic Games, meaning, the period between 2008 and now, because those years took in the both years between '08 and 2017. And in those years, it was really fruitful for Jamaica. To begin with, Usain ran the 100 meters, and he controlled that event. In fact, he controlled the 1 and the 200. Johan, was second to him all the time. And we could look to ourselves at the NAIC finals and so on. And with those three in a final, you're almost certain to get the gold medal in the 4x100 meters, because all you had to do was to bring in Freight and Mr. Carter and them guys. And Shelley and Fraser, the same. Elaine, Karen Stewart, Sharon Simpson. So we used to dominate those. And people took it for granted that, once the Olympics are held, Jamaica's going to just step in and dominate. We no longer have those. We've gone through the transition, and people are now faced with the stark reality of dealing with it. Sports is cyclical, indeed, is life. And so the problem with Jamaicans generally is that we don't deal with changes too nicely. And now that we have to sort of sit down and temper our expectation about Olympic medals, simply because the transition has taken place, sports is cyclical, and other people take their turn to dominate. We expect to dominate all the time. It doesn't matter whether we agree or not, or accept or not, that sports is cyclical and transitions take place. Yeah, we know that. But we still want to see the same thing happen, as we used to do in the both years, and it's not going to happen. So from that standpoint, I understand why they're concerned. But I don't think they should be, though, because I think we still have the quality, yeah? We might not bag the 13, 14 medals that we did when in the both years. And we may very well too, But not going with the certainty of those years. So I don't think they should be too worried. I think that the athletes here are giving an honest effort. And I think they have the quality to live with the best in the world. And I think they're going to give it a really good go. And even if we don't reach double digits in terms of the medal intake, I think the team is going to, we should be proud of the team at the end of the day. I really believe so.
Wayne, because you had brought the news to us early that there was a potential that Jackson would be pulling out, and that was later, I would say, quashed by Stephen Francis himself, saying that she was fit and ready, only for the news to then essentially play out as you had previously suggested, that she would be pulling out of some of the events. What was gained, if for a few hours, by Mr. Francis by suggesting that she was fit and ready?
This is one of the questions I asked him yesterday morning when I turned up at training. I said, Stephen, how did you move from, 100% fit to a total withdrawal in literally a few hours? And I don't think he handled that one very well. In fact, I don't know that there's any good way of handling something like that when you look at the stark reality. So it's a good question, Siobhan. How did you move from one to the next in such a short time? And the opposite situation, from moving from being 100% fit to a total withdrawal. I really don't. It's a very good question. I don't know what was his thinking, because it was going to come that she wasn't going to run, and it's not like he gave the response today, but the race is coming up, or the draw for the race is coming up in another 10 or 11 days, so he could use those days to buy time. It was literally the next day. So I really don't know. The only explanation I can give is that, it's hard to find something. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a very good question. And a lot of people have been asking that question. And I think the only person who can answer that honestly is Stephen Francis. He's an honest man. I can tell you that. I really think he's an honest man. And I think it was just him trying to delay the inevitable for as long as he could. Know that the reality of the disappointment of not having her in the race was getting closer to him. So I really don't know. That's my best response to that, but it's a very, very good question.
Sir Walker, thank you so much, and for your sterling and yeoman work at this, for what is you very early hour in the morning, and the best with the Olympics going forward.
Thank you so much, Shevon. Thanks, Mahiri.
You're welcome, Wayne.
Well, listeners, that's it for the Olympics. Now it's your turn. Time for your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Come chat with us.
Stars Connection with Wayne Walker was brought to you by the Sagicor Group. Out of many, one pulse. Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Anytime me taste any grace products, me and my friend them a fi bust dance moves. I fi run to the pot when me granny a boy soup. Grace food products, in that make it go down smooth. The taste that moves you, fuel the vibes anytime when the day grace foods from the ends. Yeah, the taste that moves you, from the spices move you. Everybody shout out grace. When the food sweet, we dance. When the vibe nice, we love. The taste that moves you, grace bringing the food you love.
Nothing moves your vibe, your mood, or your appetite like the taste of grace.
Ready, set, go!
Where am I, the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where am I, the winning spirit?
Time for unite as one. Everybody go grab your rear rum. Support we at least them on number one. Shine bright like Jamaican sun.
Where am I, the winning spirit? The winning spirit. Jamaican spirit. Where am I, the winning spirit?
Must be 18 years old. Listen, drink responsibly.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
Welcome back, listeners. 7:31, and we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Carl, you're on the line. Good evening.
Hi, Carl.
Good evening. How are you doing, man?
Doing quite well. How are you, sir?
Yeah, just want to take back your brain a little bit. Remember last year, August, when we did celebrate independent and Grand Gala?
Yes.
The leader of the opposition wasn't there.
I recall that, yes.
Thank you very much. He did really have a reason.
What's that reason, Carl?
I'm trying to find out if he's going to be there this weekend, next Tuesday, and see if Mr. Vaz will be there and ask him a few questions at the National Arena. I think that's the right place for Mr. Vaz to ask him a few questions right there when we are celebrating.
Which Vaz is he? You mean
Darrell Vaz.
Oh, okay.
The right place to ask him some questions. I hope he will be there this time.
And what would preclude him from the festivities this year?
Well, you'd have to ask him why he never did it last year.
Well, didn't he? If I remember correctly, wasn't it because he said that he had been...
He can't say anything when he wants to last year. But it showed up this year why he wasn't there. He was a British citizen. So we have celebrated independent last year.
But has he not now renounced that, Carl? He is no longer a British citizen.
Are you sure about that? He only said it.
Well, he has started the process, has he not?
Well, I mean, based on the process I looked up, it shouldn't take more than a few months, if not just a few weeks.
Well, Fanny said it. Nobody hear anything more, so we have to wait until we see some documents.
All right, Carl, but that still doesn't preclude him from taking part.
That's the only try to remember is the last time he wasn't at the celebration.
Ooh.
Anyhow, what this evening now?
Yes.
With Cartel free from the Privy Council, which you know I'm a Privy Council man. I'm a Privy Council man. I'm not happy that Tom Tavares feels to say that's where him stand also. And I think all of Cartel fans and his supporters should be a happy person that the Labour rights them didn't come to no Caribbean Court of Justice because Cartel might be still in a prison. Because it's the Privy Council send back the case back to Surrey.
And that fact is manifest, Carl, but I don't see why you believe that would suggest that the CCJ would not come down to the same conclusion.
No. I'll take you back now. If a court is in Trinidad and Trinidad doesn't decide to go with it, something is wrong. Why Trinidad is not going? I heard my former prime minister also, which I have a lot of respect for. Excellent Prime Minister Bruce Golding. I like his speech yesterday. One thing that he left out was to say to us in Jamaica, if we are going to move from the Privy Council to the Caribbean Court of Justice, it must go to a referendum.
I don't know if Mr. Golding said that, but I know I spoke.
No, I said that's what he should have said.
But I know Mr. Golding, in speaking with me, I believe it was last year, had actually endorsed the CCJ and suggested that based on what he's seeing in terms of the rulings coming out of the court, they were sound, and he believed Jamaica should consider, in a proper consideration, to moving over to the CCJ as the final appellate.
We will consider it one day when time.
But in your opinion, today is not the day.
A government come to us and say to us, you make your choice. But not two person and go behind a closed door and make a choice for me.
But going back to what you said earlier, Carl, you were talking about the CCJ and how they would have gone about this case. You were saying that if they send it to the court in Trinidad and they didn't, quash the convictions, that would be a problem. Do you think that would have actually happened?
Me not think so. Oh. You hold on, man. Me telling you something. It's when time people can call in one another. Nobody can call England.
Oh. So are you saying
Nobody that... Nobody can call no judge in England.
So you're saying that because the Privy Council is as far away, well, not literally far away, but in terms of not as many links as compared to...
Thank you. All of these people who in the Caribbean here, sir.
You're saying they know
all
one
of them
another?
go to school together.
Okay.
Be careful. Be very careful.
So, Carl, is it safe to say that's what leads to your... Well, I don't want to say distrust. That might be putting words in your mouth. But that's what makes you prefer the Privy Council over the CCJ then?
From me have sense and I come up and can think for myself. The Privy Council have been giving very good case out. If you listen them, all around. Very good case. And I don't know if you remember a policeman never have the on his spot and they did sentence him to life. Mm-hmm. And when he take it to the Privy Council straight. I think about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. So we must stop and think what we want. And Cartel this evening must be a very happy man that the Privy Council is still there. And all I'm asking before we finish is that nobody should be going for Fix Jackson or as young people who support Cartel. Nor does. Then should be a happy man that then have the Jamaica Labour Party and vote for the Jamaica Labour Party. Because we are standing with the Privy Council that make Cartel, fans that road today.
All right, Carl. All right, thank you. Richard, you're on the line. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. Now, today I hear a question asked. How much were those judges paid to let Cartel free?
How much those judges are paid?
Yeah.
In terms of their salaries?
Their bribery still goes on,
Are you saying that today's decision was...
I don't know.
What are you alluding to by that question?
That's what people say, not me, because I don't really... For me, I have Cartel and I have the same last name.
Oh, wow,
but
really?
I don't care nothing about him.
Okay, but...
So do you believe that the ruling today was unfair?
I don't know. I don't trust a lot of these people who because there was a poll did some year ago, and it was said that people believe that some of our judges are taking bribes.
I don't think there's any such evidence of that.
We don't know. That's speculation.
I don't even think it's worthy of speculation because I don't think there's any reason or any grounds to believe that the judiciary has been bribed or otherwise.
A conspiracy theory?
Yeah, kinda.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be that's kind of wild, isn't it? Because isn't that kind of why we're even here in the first place?
Well, you know the thing about it.
But look to the ruling. Did you actually listen to the ruling, Richard? By chance?
Because surely if you listen to the ruling, you'd have
If you
heard.
do with Cartel, I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
So, is it that your only knowledge of the case is just people speculating that it was?
I heard from the news, your news, but I don't really care to hear. Just because I like to listen to the news, where I listen and hear what I hear.
Well, let me ask you this, Richard. What do you care about? Is there anything you do care about that you actually want to talk to us about?
A lot of things I care about. And one of the things I don't understand why we can't have our final court of arbitration here.
Ooh.
A lot of arguments have been put forward as to why, but I agree with you, Richard. I don't see why we need to go anywhere beyond downtown Kingston for justice for anyone in Jamaica. But as I understand it, and I believe it was Mr. Golding, or no, it was actually Mr. Patterson during his talk at UA said that a study was conducted which found that the cost and other factors to bring the Jamaican courts up to the standard where it can function as a final appellate court would not be feasible. But I have yet to see that study. I was told that it could be presented, but I would love to see to what extent that is true now, based on when that study was conducted, when I believe is the early 2000s. So a good 20 years has passed since then. And I really do feel that ultimately this is where justice should end for Jamaicans on the island of Jamaica.
Under Mr. Patterson regime, we didn't have the money to do nothing. She and Portia, you know. We were just borrowing money at high interest rates. So how would they have money to do anything? But presently, but then again, it go back to the point: how much our judges are they learned enough to have a final court here? Are they corrupt enough for us not to have a final court here? Which is it? And my final point is that I am impressed with Kamala Harris. That lady is very articulate. And the sounds that she's making, that's what I was listening out to hear. Because I'm politically savvy, you know. And she's saying the right words, you know. And I know she's going to make it to the White House. She's going to be the next president. I'm sure of that.
So
that's confident, you know.
So I take it that means you're quite pleased with this switch that's taken place. Well, I shouldn't say a switch, but Kamala stepping in.
Because he's a good man. But yes, I'm happy with the switch, you know.
Yeah, you think it was you think Joe he was right to step down then?
Yes.
Were you concerned about him continuing otherwise, if he had just decided that he was staying in the race?
I think he was too old, and, you know, with the pressure of the president, they'd have dropped him dead, you know.
Oh.
He made it through the first term quite fine.
Yes, but the second term is... You see what happened to my favorite president of all time in America, Roosevelt?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
He died in office.
True.
The pressure was... The presidency is a tough job. But there's one thing I don't like when people saying that the president is the leader of the free world, he's the most powerful man in the world. I don't like that because it can't be true.
Why do you believe it can't be true? Isn't it
Because
essentially a manifest?
control over Congress.
It's a truism, so to speak.
He have to go there and petition the Congress to get what he wants.
Yes, but he's still the chief diplomat of the United States.
Yes,
so which would make him the most powerful man in the
can't control anyone Congress.
But that's an internal matter. We're talking on the world stage, aren't we?
Yes, but does he have any sway over China, Russia?
I would believe so.
No. The only thing he can do is put on embargo, but other countries have to support him with embargo. It's in the work.
There's that point, but which country would suggest that the United States, outside of those three nations in what we would consider the new bloc that is forming, which Western Hemisphere country would not back the United States in sanctioning Russia, China, and other nations if it came to that?
Yeah, but the only way a lot of them will back them because, you know, they're constantly begging America and depending on America.
But then what would that make the United States and, in extension, his president, if not the leaders of the free world?
I don't share that view.
But you put the evidence forward that would support that view.
Not necessarily, because the fact of the matter is, if you study the Bible, it tells you about the lamb-like beast which signify in America, and the world wander after the beast. But that's a different story because I don't want to go into that today because that's a
I'm definitely not the one to take you on in terms of those religious teachings, Richard.
you don't
Sorry.
want to do Bible, sir?
I can't take you on that one, Richard.
You can ask Charge what is the Bible.
All right.
Have a blessed evening.
All right, thank you, Richard.
My pleasure.
Tony, good evening.
Yeah, greetings. I just want to indicate how unfair JPS is being, right?
Oh.
I'm calling in respect to a community that is a subset of Mayday Mandeville, right, in Manchester. Now, all of Mayday has light except Jones Circle and Jones Heights. And we were told from when I went to JPS last week, Thursday, they said that JPS would be in the area until Friday, so it was expected that they would get light by then. Well, 1 week later, they haven't got light. I went back to JPS today, and they are basically just saying to me, well, I don't know what is happening, and they don't have anything that they can tell me. And I mean, after so long, that is so unreasonable. They have contractors working with them. If the contractors are working with them, the contractors are supposed to send in a report.
Precisely.
This is a problem with management, and I mean, it just irks me how the public is just handled in a slipshod manner, and there's nothing we can do about it. Because I've been talking to the leader today. I'm appealing. Who else can I wanted to talk to our supervisor. She told me our supervisor is in a meeting. She can't give me a number to call. And all she's telling me, I explained to her that I came last week Thursday, and they told me that they were in the area until the same Friday, the next day. And therefore it was expected that the problem would be solved. But they tell us they are not unwilling to give any information. They don't. All I'm saying is clearly there's a problem, but it's because the people don't have light. But they can't say what the problem is. They can't give us a date to expect some kind of improvement. And they are just allowed to continue. And basically, my growth is that I have nowhere to present the point that they are being totally unfair, and nobody, it seems to me, is really pressuring them to be more reasonable with how they're dealing with the public.
And this is Mayday, you're saying?
Yes, this is Mayday in Mandeville.
And is it a case where it's an obvious issue where you can say, all right, it's because this line is down, or is it just a case where it doesn't appear to be anything wrong in terms of...
Well, there are kind of, because, in situations where you don't give information, you have kind of people making assumptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are saying, well, I don't want to go into that, but basically it seems to me that there's something wrong there. I think there's that issue with the transformer, but I don't know. I'm not a technical person. It's just from observing what I hear other people talk about. But this is what I'm saying to the lady, that they're handling us as if we say we can't think for ourselves. They won't say that there's a transformer problem. They won't say what the problem is, so that we can have at least a common sense understanding of why it is that everybody around these people have light and they don't have any light.
So is it a case where how many households did you say are affected by this issue that you're reporting right now?
Well, there are. It's a fairly new subdivision. When I say new, like in the last 10 years or so.
Right.
So you have like about there are four houses that are occupied. There are other spaces around there that people working on houses, etc. Right. But the point is that even though it's four houses, right? But there are people, they are suffering. They don't have, in an environment that we live in now, they don't have light, they don't have access to internet. These people want to do business just like everybody else.
And it's very important that you brought that up, because if there's one thing I realize Minister Vaz has been highlighting a lot since this...
Lack of communication.
It's not the lack of communication, it's the pockets. There'll be instances where places are restored, but there'll be like one or two areas within that space that still don't have restoration. It seems as though that's what's happening
with
our caller right now.
Mahiri, but with respect, in my opinion,
yes,
the government should require. It should not be. They should require that that GPS provides at least the basic information for people. I mean, that to me, that is just. I don't know. It's just so basic to me.
I don't think that's even an unreasonable request. They should at least be able to tell you this is the problem.
Exactly. And I'm sure they have the information, but because I'm saying there's a general disrespect, as it were, because they feel as if they are treating people as if to say, well, we are expendable, and therefore we just have to accept what they say. And no, the problem is that the government isn't requiring them to answer these questions. We talk about, I heard Minister Vaz from the point of view of the other conversations about estimated bill, etc. But I'm saying one of the most basic things is for people to be respected. If you have a problem, at least give me the information that I can understand what the problem is. Don't ignore me. And when I come and talk to you, say there's nothing you can do and there's nothing you can tell me. I mean, it is a total disrespect.
And that is where the Office of the Utilities Regulation should come in. The OUI should be able to assist you in these matters.
I agree. But again, in fact, I plan to call. I was trying to call him this evening, but I have to go and try and call him tomorrow. But it shouldn't. What I'm saying is that we're talking about. They told us that the thing would be fixed by last Friday, and this is a week later, and we still can't get any information. That should just not be acceptable. There should be some structure in place whereby I can just report it and somebody does the checking and check into the bona fide of what I'm saying. And if it is correct, then they give us some information, do something.
And it should be something as simple as registering on their system to say, wait, everybody around this area has light, but this area does not have light.
Absolutely.
Why is that?
It cannot be something difficult. That's what I'm trying to say. It is fairly a straightforward thing. The contractor should be required to provide information to GPS first of all, and GPS thereafter would be able in a position to provide the information to the customer. But it's just a matter of not setting the proper standard. Whether it's the OUR, whether it's the government, whatever. But the GPS should be required. You can't have a foreign business coming into Jamaica and treating Jamaicans this way, man. It is wrong.
But it's not so much as setting the standard. I believe the standard is already there. It's part of their own disaster risk plan that they're supposed to provide regular updates to give customers an understanding as to when their electricity will be restored.
That's what we were told at the beginning. That is why when we went last week and they said, okay, they're in the air up till Friday. We said, okay, cool. I mean, remember, this is the hurricane didn't end last week, This has been some time after the hurricane, and still let's say, okay, until Friday. We said, cool. 1 week later, we still can't get any information at all. I mean, something must be wrong with that, man.
And I think one thing we can all agree on is that this passage of Hurricane Beryl and the restoration efforts since, it's been an eye-opener, to a lot of holes or gaps in the restoration system, not just in light of a disaster.
They were clearly unprepared.
Right.
In other words, their preparation was just
and that's somewhat what I'm alluding to. What I'm alluding to is that it's a shame that it has to take the passage of something like this for people to realize that there are issues, there are creases that need to be ironed out in terms of systems such as this.
But the government owns a significant proportion of GPS. The government sits on the board. There ought to be, what I'm saying, this is so basic. When things happen, give people information and stop playing, because you're a monopolist, stop playing God with people.
All right, caller. My producers asked you to stay on the line so that she can get some information for you, so we can see if we can see about getting that situation sorted.
Okay, cool.
East Central, evening. How are you doing?
Hi, East Central. All of these
evening, sir. I can barely hear you. Go ahead.
I'm not here.
You're breaking up a lot there.
Oh.
Sorry, East Central. You try calling back, but can't hear you.
That's a shame. I always wanted to talk to him. I always hear when he calls in. There's some of the names here I've heard before, and I've never spoken to. This is quite the experience, man.
So you're from Mandeville, Mahiri. How have you gotten back your electricity from your area?
Well, what's funny is Mommy got back the light not too long after the hurricane passed, but then there's a pole in her area that broke like in half since, and yeah, she doesn't have any light right now, which is a shame. So
and it's an interesting experience, you know, because my area in Patrick City stood up quite well to the storm. We didn't lose electricity even during the actual passage. Only for, I believe it was, when was that squall that affected?
Squall line is like last week.
Last week, only for that little bit of wind and that little bit of rain to knock power out. And I was like, what does this say about the
infrastructure?
About the integrity of our infrastructure? If this, nothing to be considered a significant event, if this little bit of rain and wind could knock out power, what does that say about the actual system that we have in place here?
Well, I don't know. As I said, it's an eye-opener. It's a situation where a lot of people are going to see. I think this is going to be used in the future. I think the lessons, and whenever I go to postcard, I always ask the ministers, what lessons did you learn from the passage of this hurricane that you can apply if we're supposed to be hit by another one? Because I think across all the sectors, every sector, or I shouldn't say sector because there are only two, but every, breakaway in Jamaica, whether it's the transport, sector, or whether it's the education or energy in this case, which seems to be the biggest one, I feel like all of them learned something from this, that we do need to work on certain things so that if we're in another situation like this, things can be better.
And it also raises a problem, not specifically to JPS, but it's an issue that I've found has permeated so much of society. It's the powerlessness of the consumer in terms of getting reprieves and justice for situations that happen to them. Every consumer, whether it's relating to the JPS or some other utility or even just a business, sometimes feels helpless because of the poor customer service and just the lack of any ability to get recourse in Jamaica. And I've found that it's been a problem through the entirety of our consumer system.
I think one thing in general, as I was saying earlier, it's a learning experience for all the different areas in Jamaica. And I'll say this much, when the hurricane had just passed and people didn't have light and there were people complaining, there was also a subset of people saying, listen, man, just give JPS some time. The hurricane just happened. They can't just flip a switch and fix everything. But I think now that we are, let's say, neither a month later, I think all of those people that were on that argument are now reaching it. Because listen, man, a month without light is insane,
It's frustrating because
and I'm talking as somebody that didn't lose any light. I can only imagine.
Electricity, it also has a run-on effect on other things in terms of your ability to secure food, your ability to secure water.
Yeah.
Yes, your ability to go to work, as you said.
And that's one thing I wish we had asked the caller before. The caller after, when he was bringing up the issue in Mayday, we should have asked him if he had water. Because, well, he probably did. Because if most of his area had light, then chances are the pumping station probably would have had to. But there's no guarantee. But it's just an eye-opener, All of these different areas have to learn from this to see how we can improve for the future. This was hard, by the way. This taking calls thing is not for me, man. Back to the newsroom, folks.
You did quite well, Mahiri.
You're not going to see me back here anytime soon, yeah?
Well, I thank Mahiri Stewart for filling in. My co-hosts, both Mr. Hughes and Mr. Brooks, had a very trying day and went home to sort some matters out. So Mahiri stepped into the breach to assist me this evening. So thanks to Mahiri. Also thanks to our super producer as usual, Dana Davey, who stood in and did the work as needed. Our technical operator, Andrew Glenn Anderson, always on the job. All my friends over on YouTube, those on WhatsApp, and X, I can't call it X, Twitter, I just can't call it Twitter, man. And those following us on social media, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart. Bye!
Blue Topics.